We are live for another episode of The Panel, and today we're going to be breaking down UFC 312. As always, I'm joined by my co-host, Tyler, 138 MMA, and today we've got two very sharp guests. We've got Dan from Half the Battle, and we've got Dravi. Dravi, what's your podcast called again? Beat the Line Broadcast?
Yep.
Beat the Line Broadcast. Thank you guys for coming on. Thank you to everybody tuning in. Real quick, we'll talk about how we're feeling about the card, what we're thinking, and then we'll jump right into it because we got a bunch of fights to talk about. Tyler, how you feeling about the card, brother?
Good. It's an interesting one because Australia has the best home field advantage, I would say, for any fighter, just because it's so far away from everything. So if you are a local in Australia, I'll give you New Zealand. You're only an hour difference in time, I believe. Maybe it's two. I think it's one. But it's just so much of a world shift from everywhere else in the fight world. So I think it's always interesting when cards come here.
All right. And Dan, how are you feeling about the card?
Feeling good, man. I mean, I expect a lot of finishes, a lot of violence, and the cards always deliver down under. So I'm excited, man. The two title fights are on point. You know, these fights need to happen. Tatiana, people have been calling her a future world champion since she came into the sport a long time ago. And then the main event, obviously that rematch has to happen. Hamzat has to fight the winner. So yeah, I'm pumped.
All right. And Dravi, how you feeling about the card?
Underrated. I think the card's underrated. Me included. At first, when I look at it, I was like, this is a shit pay-per-view. But when you do the tapes and you look into the matchup, I feel like there's a lot of fun fights, a lot of violent fight, like Dan said, and a good card for betting also. So excited to talk about it.
Yeah, honestly, I also like the card. I think there's going to be a lot of fun fights. I think there's going to be a lot of violence, and I've got way too many bets. So I'm looking forward to talking about it. First fight of the night, we've got Hyun Sung Park versus Niarmdragal Tumen Dembarel. I call him Tumi. It's a little bit easier. Tyler, why don't you start us off?
Oh, boy. Okay, here we go. So I think this is a tough one for me because I have a hard time getting to the underdog, even though I think the line might be a smidge wide. But I think with Park being quite a bit cleaner, I think he's probably going to be he's going to be better everywhere outside of making things chaotic. But I do like the over 1.5. That's a good spot, I think. I think it's I feel like it's pretty unlikely it ends in the first 1.5 rounds. Both guys are tough as heck. Like I kind of mentioned in my video this week that everybody talks about the Mexican chin, Mexican durability. Southeast Asia has some of the best chins on the planet. Like those fighters that come from that region, those dudes can take a punch. And I think that both of these guys, being from Southeast Asia, are durable as heck. I don't think either of them are getting flatlined in the first round. Maybe dropped, wobbled, but they're getting back up. So I like the over. I'll take Park as a pick, but I'm going to pass on the money line side.
All right. How about you, Dravi?
I like your boy Tumi here in this one. I just think the line's too wide. Kind of, maybe a little bit of a low-level fight. Both of them are green. But the way I look into it is, Tumi, first of all, he has power. I bet against him in his UFC debut with Carlos Hernandez, and you can make an argument that he won that fight based on damage. He hurt him in round 1 and round 3. It was, Hernandez is a durable guy, and he has a ton of experience, but he made that fight very close in his debut. He's young, so maybe we see improvements compared to his UFC debut. But yeah, in this fight, the way I see it is I favor him on the feet personally. I know Park is a bit more technical, and his defense is all right, but he get hit a lot. So does Tumi, to be fair. But the difference is Park get dropped a lot, and Tumi has very good power for this division. So when I look into this fight, is Park's going to grapple? Because I do think his grappling is very slick, very good back take to the rear naked choke. I think it's very solid. But on the feet, I think he's going to get hurt. I think he's going to get maybe dropped in this fight. And even if he wins some minutes on the feet, I think he could still lose the round in under a minute or get hurt or get finished. And on the ground, I think Tumi and his UFC debut against Hernandez, he looked a bit better in the grappling than the tape you can see on Road to UFC. So, and yeah, this guy Park doesn't really wrestle a lot. If you look into his tapes, it's like he doesn't really wrestle too much, and he should wrestle here because he's the better grappler. But I look the tapes and I'm like, he needs to get hurt to grapple sometimes, or grapple late into fights. So if he does that here, I feel like there's a chance Tumi look like the favorite and knock him out. But yeah, like I'm not super confident, but I'm confident that the line is wide, and I think it should be closer to a pick 'em. Maybe you go Park minus 125, minus 150 because he's the better grappler. But I think Toomey, based on power and durability, can get it done, and he has good chance to get the KO actually. So I'm gonna pick him to win for the upset here.
All right, Dan, how about you? I know you've been killing it with the underdogs this year so far.
Appreciate that. Yeah, I'm with him. I'm with him on this, man. I mean, listen.
Let's go.
Youngsun Park is I like his progression. I like the fact that he imposes himself in there. He comes to fight, and that's exactly what Tumen Dembary needs. He needs to fight a guy that comes to fight. And when you talk about Park, like literally one thing that everybody says is this guy gets dropped every fight. And those are the kind of things I like when I'm betting on a plus 180 dog, that the opponent gets dropped every single fight, unless he's fighting like Shannon Ross or something. And if you're a UFC fighter and you haven't figured out how to beat Shannon Ross yet, there's a big issue. But yeah, I think Tumen Dembary gets back on track here, man. That Carlos Hernandez fight was a completely different level than what he's going to face Saturday night. So I also believe this guy's progressing. So yeah, give me the underdog here.
Yeah, I'll be picking the underdog too. Originally, I picked Park to win, but it was like a dog or pass spot. But I was taping my shorts right before this, and I was just thinking to myself, like, man, I feel like he's going to knock him out. So I ended up picking him. And for me, it's like the reason I passed when he was fighting Carlos Hernandez is because of the ground game, because of his fight with Kiram specifically, a Muay Thai guy who smokes cigarettes before his fights, aura. But the guy can't grapple, and he out-grappled Toomey, which to me was a huge red flag, and that's why I stayed off. But against Hernandez, I mean, he looked a lot better. He stuffed, like I think, like 10 takedowns, something like that. The underhooks were super swift right away, shucked him off of him. He looked a lot better with the ground game. On his back still seems a little bit uncomfortable, so I will worry if he gets put onto his back, and I do worry about him giving up his back when he's getting back up. But I think he's going to be all right. Like you guys mentioned, Park's not really pushing the grappling like he should, considering he's a great grappler. He's got a slick back take, good submissions. He probably should be grappling, but he doesn't. But even if he does, I don't think his wrestling is better than Hernandez's. And I think that Toomey did a really good job defending. So that's that. And then with the striking, I think Park is cleaner. He's definitely the cleaner striker in my eyes. But Toomey's just going to be in his face. He's not going to give him the distance. He's going to be in his face the entire time, backing him up, backing him up. He's durable as hell. I think he hits a lot harder. And like with Park, he finished Shannon Ross, but he didn't even knock him out with he didn't use the chin. Shannon Ross's chin is crap, but he got him out of there with body shots. So I think power goes to Toomey. I think technique, like skill-wise, slightly in Park, but I don't think it's going to matter because of the pressure, because of the aggressiveness. And I think sooner or later, Toomey's going to knock him out. I'm waiting to bet it because I feel like the parlays haven't started yet. I'm hoping the casuals come in. My brother's going to give me the call, be like, yo, I'm parlaying Park. And that's when I'm like, okay, time to hop on the underdog. So I'm waiting it out, but I will be putting at least a unit on Toomey here. And we can move on. Next up, we've got a fight that I am dying to talk about. We got Quillan Salkilld versus Anshul Jubli making his return. Dravi, why don't you start us off? You going to bet on Jubli here with me?
I'm not going to do it. I thought about it when you touched plus 500, just because, and Dan, you're one of the guys that used to say it a lot in your breakdowns, and people sometimes shit the bed in their debut. And you mentioned sometimes Daniel Zellhuber as an example, right? It can happen here. Like, I think Salkilld is very, very talented. He's a very good fighter. But at the end of the day, he's a 7-1 pro MMA fighter making his debut on a big pay-per-view in his hometown. So sometimes nerve can get to him, and minus 700 in debut to me is just not something I can get behind. But as far as the matchup goes, right, look, I think Salkild's a bit better everywhere than Jubli, but not by a lot. Like, I think he's going to win this fight based on cardio and based on durability, and he just has more will to win, I feel like. I like his grappling. I like his striking. A very good frame for the division, and I also pick him as one of my top 5 guys from Dana White Contender Series prospect this season. So his future is bright. I bet him in his UFC Dana White Contender Series fight. I just think that he has very good build for the division. He's good everywhere, good cardio, tough guy. And yeah, I can see him finishing the fight late. I'm a bit worried that the fight's going to be way closer than the line indicate. But the reasons I can't get behind a Jubli bet is I don't give him any finishing upside. And it's bad as a close decision. And at 5-1, that's all you can ask for, right? But to me, all around, I think Salkild's going to find a finish here, probably round 2, round 3. But yeah, the price is way too wide for sure. But he should get it done.
All right. How about you, Dan? What are you thinking?
Thinking 2 things. I'm thinking I agree with Dravi with everything he said. And I'm thinking the first thing you said was you're dying to talk about this fight. So talk about this fight. I want to hear you talk about this fight.
It's mostly a joke because my dumbass Max bet Jubli when he fought Breeden, because I don't know why. To this day, I can't explain to anybody why I did it. It was one of the dumbest things I've ever done in my bet. Probably the dumbest thing I've ever done in my MMA career, MMA betting career. And yeah, that's pretty much it. But I did end up betting him here plus 500. I like my big dog shots if I think there's a path. And I just think the line's pretty wide. I think Salkilld has a really good future ahead of him. But honestly, I think so does Jubli if he can just get past the fear of dogs. And as long as no one starts barking at him, I think he's going to be okay. I think he's a really solid fighter. And in the Breeden fight, he looked great up until the 3rd round. Then it was a mixture of, I don't know if it was just gassing. I don't know if it was the barking, maybe both. He got thrown off. I don't know. Dropped the ball hard. I would never bet him as a favorite again unless he's fighting an absolute bum. But at plus 500, I think he's got the skills to keep this close. I don't really see where Salkilld is leagues ahead of him. I don't really think he is anywhere. I think on the feet, it's a relatively close fight. I think in the grappling, I lean Salkilld a little bit, but not by a ton. I think Jubli's also a good grappler. I think he's good defensively. I think that Salkild's submission upside, I think, is being a little bit overrated. I don't think he's anything like crazy with the subs. He has 3 sub wins. 2 of them are against the same exact guy, same way too, rear naked. Don Marfan, I think is his name. And yeah, I just think Jubli should be okay in that regard. But if you agree with me that the line is wide for whoever's watching, but you don't want to bet on Jubli because who knows what will happen, and maybe Salkilld starts barking, you don't want to take the risk. I think the over 2.5 is pretty nice too at plus 125. I just don't think Salkilld runs through him. I think it's going to be a fairly close and competitive fight that goes the distance. So at plus money on the over 2.5, I like that spot too. I've got a unit on it and a half unit on Jubli plus 500. How about you, Tyler?
So I like a lot of things for Salkilld here, and it's not because I think Jubli's bad. I mentioned this in my video this week as well, is that I think a lot of people are really low on Jubli because he lost to Breeden. And Breeden, I mean, he's not in the UFC anymore. Sure, he got kicked out of here after the win, but he also missed weight in that fight. Whatever. That's neither here nor there. What we're talking about is this fight. Jubli's good, but Salkilld has a lot of things that I really like for him, not just in this match, but in general. First off, he grapples at a really high pace, and he can keep that for 3 rounds. That's a big winner for me is when I'm looking at fighters that I want to get behind as far as like what are skills that stand out. Grappling at a high pace for 3 rounds, that is up there among the top. Another thing he has is he's big for the division. If you're big for the division and you can grapple at a high pace for 3 rounds, that makes you a tough puzzle to solve. So for me, I think even though Jubli is skilled, I think he's got some nice boxing. It's not top tier, but it's good. He's got some decent wrestling. He's really good at when people shoot in on a takedown. If they don't really commit, he's good at reversing position and ending up on top. I don't think he's going to get that here. And I think even if he does, the bigger guy is going to be able to crawl around to take the back because that's the type of like guys that are longer when they're on the bottom. You see guys like Chase Hooper do it all the time. He's also super skilled at grappling, but they're able to, when they can get all the way around with their arm from underneath and grab the lat on the opposite side, they just pull themselves around to the back. And I could see something like that happening here. And then there comes that rear naked choke. Clip said it in the chat that he likes sub round 3. I do too. I think the pace is going to be too much for Jubli. And I think this sub is possible. I know you said that he's only got 3 of them. He's only had 8 fights. So like, that's
fair.
That's a pretty good amount. Like it's percentage wise. So I'm going to take Salkilld. I mean, betting his money line at this point is silly. You hope that you either got him way earlier or you're just going to watch this one because you don't have to bet every single fight on the card. And that's what I'm going to say.
If you like the Salkilld side, I don't know what the line is, but maybe Salkilld round 3 decision could be a look if you think
Definitely.
Jubli can survive the first 2. But all right, we can move on. Next up, we've got Kevin Jusay versus Jonathan Mikf. Dan, you're going to start us off for this one, brother.
Damn, I was hoping I could get to agree with Dravi again, but nah, man, listen, I think that this fight's like a Hex FC main event, an Australia FC main event. I feel like if these two weren't in the UFC right now, they'd be on some Australian regional scene main event. These are probably two of the best welterweights out of Australia. Actually, Jusay is from France, but he moved to Australia, and he's been training in Australia for a long time. So they kind of welcomed him as one of their own, because I mean, most of his regional scene was down under. And Mikf, I respect the guy. I like the fact that he knows exactly where his game is. He knows what his strengths are. He makes no what's the expression? Like, makes no something about it. Like, you know exactly what Mikf wants to do, man. Like, he wants to get in there and he wants to get that body lock. He wants to get you down. He wants to grind you out. I think Jusay, firstly, is going to be able to keep the fight standing because of that judo base. That judo background is going to help him keep the fight standing. And from there, we know that Jusay's got good volume. So I think Mikf is going to eat a lot of shots here. Can Mikf possibly break Jusay late? Maybe. I mean, Battle broke him late. Battle's also a different caliber fighter, but Battle showed a weakness in Jusay that he can be overwhelmed. But, man, Battle ate a lot of shots in that fight too. Shots that I'm not convinced Mikf is just going to eat and walk forward against. So, yeah, give me Jusay, but not at these odds, you know?
Yeah, definitely a dog or pass spot for me too, but I went into it thinking I would like Mikf. It's kind of a bet I would normally make. Grappler, big underdog odds. He's got that dog in him, fights for your money, and I might still get there. We'll see how wide it gets. I'm a little hesitant because Jusay does have that judo background. His takedown defense hasn't been tested all that much for me to be like, oh, he'll 100% stuff everything. But from the eye test, it does seem like he's probably going to be able to stuff a lot of it. Mikf, not really an amazing wrestler. He's okay. He's a solid wrestler. Nothing crazy, though. Control is also not that great for someone like him with really good jiu-jitsu. You would think he could control people a little bit better. He doesn't really, in my opinion. But honestly, like, I know he's making his debut, and Jusay's been in the UFC, but Jusay's 2 wins, right? Sankinan and Kiefer Crosby. I feel like Mikf's win over Luciano is better than both of those. Like, Luciano's a legit fighter, a good grappler, a solid striker. Someone who I could have seen being in the UFC. Maybe one day he will be. I think he's with PFL Tour right now. But Mikf got that win. It was a 5-round fight. He showed grit. He showed cardio. He showed that he was able to get takedowns against the guy who's also a good grappler. So I think realistically, he'll probably get a few takedowns. Maybe he can threaten the subs. Jusay seems like he's pretty defensively sound in that regard, though. So I don't really see the sub happening, but maybe he can threaten it. Maybe he could just use that jiu-jitsu to stay positionally on top and land some ground and pound. He's a very strong physical guy, but we'll see how that plays out. On the feet is where I'm worried. Jusay is definitely a cleaner striker, a more competent striker over 15 minutes. But if you put him on his back foot, I do think he struggles a little bit. Like the Plessis fight over in the regionals, when this is what, like a year and a half ago, 2 years ago when they fought, it was a 5-round fight, split decision. And Plessis, the only real success he had was when he was putting Jusay on the back foot and just letting it rip, going for the strikes. And he was landing on him. He was landing, and he's not a good striker at all. Jusay technically is a much better striker than Plessis, who's also like 40 years old. But the dude was landing on him. And to me, that wasn't a great look. Jusay has probably improved quite a bit since then. He's had 3 UFC fights now. But from what I took from that is if you put him on his back foot, you make him uncomfortable, even if you're not as good of a striker as him, you could land, you could have success. So, yeah, long story short, I definitely won't lay the chalk on Jusay. I'm considering a Mikf shot, but I don't know if I want to do it. I'm also thinking about the over or the fight goes at -130. I think that might be a decent spot because I don't really see a finish from Jusay. I don't think he has much power, and Mikf seems pretty durable to me. And like I said, I don't really see Mikf getting the sub, which I think is his only finishing upside in this fight. So kind of like fight goes and maybe a dog shot depending how wide the line goes. How about you, Tyler?
Yeah, so I'm going to kind of echo a little bit. It's also thinking Jusay probably wins. And for me, it's one of those things where he should have a pretty clear striking advantage, and the grappling, he should be able to neutralize it for the most part. I like the extended stance for Jusei here, because he keeps his hands like pretty far out in front of him, right? And when he does that, it makes it so his punches land pretty quick because they don't have as far to travel. And for this fight, the reason I like that is because he's already going to have the hands away from his body, so he can quickly shut takedowns, because he's going to be doing a lot of that. And Mikf is trying to get to the body. That's what he wants to do. He's not going to like change levels and shoot for an ankle or down really, really low. He wants to get around the body and drag him down that way. If he's out here and just able to keep that, that's going to be better than keeping that high guard here where somebody can get in tight and get along the body. Here, it's not much. I think he's going to be able to defend these type of takedowns pretty easily. Not easily, but he's going to effectively defend the takedowns here. He'll be able to land his little 1-2s throughout the whole fight and just probably bust up the face of Mikf, and I think he'll probably cruise to a decision. I would be surprised if he finished him, but I would be more surprised if Mikf was able to get him down to the ground with ease and get his grappling going. So we're taking Jusei probably by decision.
All right. How about you, Dravi?
Not the fight I have the strongest read on. I feel like Jusei is going to be winning the minutes on the feet, but I also end up leaving tapes thinking that Mikhailov, even though he's not the better striker, with the pressure and the power that he possesses, I think he's going to be able to win some moments on the feet, and he's going to try to grapple. The problem with that is I don't really think he's going to be able to get takedowns here, or that's going to be hard to do because I rate Jusei's takedown defense. And yeah, people are maybe low on him. The market is not really because of the price, because of the Bato fight, but the Bato broke him. But like the fight, the pressure in that fight and the pace in that fight was insane. I don't think Jusei has bad cardio. Like, I don't think it's a thing. And also what I've noticed is Bato beat him in the clinch. Here in this fight, I think Jusei is better in the clinch than Mikhailov, and I think that's going to be a good part to victory for him in this spot. But I don't think he's going to finish him. Jusei by decision is a decent line, so I will lean that way as far as the prediction goes. But also, if you want to bet Jusei, that's the way I would play him by decision. I think it's around +150.
Yeah, I like it. Definitely makes sense to me. And we can move on. Next up, we've got Cody Steele making his debut against Rangu, and I'm going to start us off here. So this is another spot where pre-tape, I thought I'd probably like Rangu just from what I remembered taping Steele for the Contender Series, and I know Rangu very well at this point. But then I taped it, and I ended up being on the Steele side. In terms of a bet, I went with Steele round 3 decision at +160 on DraftKings, and I'll explain that. For me, it really comes down to this. I know that Steele's like control isn't the best for a guy of his caliber of jiu-jitsu. You would think he could control people better. It's kind of struggling to do that. His wrestling is pretty good in my opinion. I think he's solid with the takedowns, but he just struggles to control guys. He struggles to take their back. And I understand like that concern. And Rangu does have good takedown defense. He's improved that part of his game a lot. But I think a lot of people are looking at like the Shin fight on the road to UFC. And Shin is like a really high level wrestler. And they're like, okay, he barely took down Rangu. He couldn't hold him down. There's no way Steele's going to be able to do it. There's a huge physicality difference there. Shin is tiny. He's a tiny man. For lightweight, he was way too small. Like, I would have, you show him to me, I would have thought he's a flyweight, not a lightweight. And he did go down to, I believe, featherweight for the next road to UFC season that he also didn't win. But regardless, I think that physicality played a big factor in that. And had Shin been the size of Steele, maybe it would have gone a little bit differently. I think that Steele's a lot more physical. He's a big, strong dude. I think that he will be able to get the takedowns, especially as the fight progresses. He's going to be in Rangu's face the entire time. That's just how he fights. And as the fight progresses, I think Rangu is going to start to slow and get more tired. The takedowns will come easier. The control will be easier. And on the feet, I do think Rangu is a better striker, but I don't think it's by much. And Steele's improving really fast in terms of his striking. I think he's getting real good, real quick, mixes it up really well. He's going to the body, which you don't see from guys who just started striking recently. You know, he only got into MMA, I believe, in 2022 or 2023. So he's still super green in mixed martial arts. And already his striking is at a respectable level. So I think he's going to be able to keep it close on the feet. If he digs to the body, that'll be really smart against Rangu, who slows down, mix in those takedowns. And I think eventually he's going to start to crack Rangu. And I think he is going to win, I think, decision, but I think a round 3 finish is live as well. So I went with the round 3 decision prop on him on DraftKings. I think +160 is pretty nice. So that's what I went with. How about you, Tyler?
Yeah, I think we're going to get a lot of rinse and repeat mat returns from Steele. If he goes out there and just thinks he's a boxer and wants to strike the whole time, that is an opportunity for Rangu. I could see that being an issue. People like to get finishes. They like to get exciting wins, especially when they're, chasing a $50,000 bonus. But I'm going to assume that Cody Steele's not going to go out here and fight like a doofus. If he does, what I did notice is sometimes when he starts throwing multiple hooks, one after the other, when he's like got somebody up against the cage, he won't return to his guard when he's throwing him. He'll just start winging him like wild, and that's when he can get countered. I could see him doing that. He's done it a few times leading up to up to his Contender Series fight. On the Contender Series, I don't remember him doing it, but either way, I don't think he's going to do that. I think we're going to get a lot of mat returns, and I think it's going to wear on Rangu. There's going to be some ground and pound landed. Rangu's going to get back up. He's going to get put back down. He's going to get back up. He's going to put back down. I think Cody Steele is going to put up a ridiculous DraftKings score. So if you're playing DFS, the dude's probably going to have 10, 15 mat returns or something crazy. Maybe not that many, but a lot. So probably putting up a pretty good score. I think he probably wins late second, early third, maybe. And I think it's probably ground and pound or submission. It could totally be either. But I think it's just going to be an attritional and just break the guy down over the course of the fight with constant mat returns and ground and pound.
All right. How about you, Dravi? I know where you're at, but why don't you talk about it?
Yeah, I guess that's the part and the fight we're gonna disagree on. I'm on the wrong zoo here. I got him at plus 225. There's a couple of reasons for that. I understand that Cody Steele is very good ceiling in MMA in general. Big grappling background and everything. Good striker, durable dude, good cardio. He has a lot of things that I love to back in a guy. But again, that's a guy that's making his UFC debut, and he's facing someone who has way more MMA experience than him, way more UFC experience than him, and that he's also younger than Cody Steele. So just right off the bat, I can get behind minus 250 because of that. And then you look into the matchup, it's like Cody Steele grappling is solid, but his actual wrestling, I don't really think it's that good. When I look into it, I watch all of his UFC fights, and even when he's facing lower level guys, he struggled to take them down when he tried. And when he does take them down, he doesn't hold them down. Like, he doesn't have good top control. And that's the problem for me here is, first of all, I think Rangu takedown defense is very good. So I'm not even sure Cody Steele's going to be able to take him down. But if he does take him down, I think Rangu can get right back up. And I don't really think Steele's going to submit him. Now, on the feet, I have to favor Rangu a little bit. Like, the guy is more experienced in the striking. He's at City Kickboxing now for this camp. So he's in Australia already, did his full training camp there. That's the first time for him. I like that at his age with his striking
Rangu did?
Yeah. He's at CKB for this fight since December. He's been there. So I think that's something good, especially if you look the way he was like his leg kicks against Padilla look very good. So that's something at City Kickboxing that can only get better. And he's someone that get hit a lot. That he has an iron chin, by the way, this guy. But so is Cody Steele. But I think City Kickboxing is going to help him with his defense, with his leg kicks, and his striking game overall. And he talked about it in this post. He said that he was very grateful for what he learned in that training camp with them. So I feel like we could see improvements also. And watching back the Chris Padilla fight, that's a knockout. But the guy hit him with a big elbow. And that was crazy, the elbow. And I thought he was doing good in that fight. And Chris Padilla, to me, watching his UFC career so far, the guy's a bit underrated, I feel like. He looked very good to me watching back that fight. And again, I'm not saying Cody Steele's a bad striker. I like his striking. He goes to the body. He pressure a lot. But what I've noticed on tape is he get hit a lot. And Rangu's the better striker he's ever faced, in my opinion, and the faster guy also here. And when Cody Steele get cracked on the regional, he always needs to reset. He needs to reset, and then he goes again. But I just feel like a striker like Rangu with the power and the speed that he possesses, if Cody Steele get hit like he does on regional and get cracked like he does on regional, we can count on his chin still. But I think Rangu's gonna outpoint him. And then Cody Steele is always the guy who's pressuring in most of his fights. He's never really on the back foot. But Rangu, I don't think he's always going to be on the back foot. I think he's going to pressure him. And if he pressures Cody Steele, I think he's going to make him uncomfortable. And yeah, overall, I just think both of them are very durable. I think Rangzu's the better striker. I think he's going to defend the takedowns. He has more experience. So, like, I think the line should be closer to a pick 'em, like a straight pick 'em here. But as far as the pick goes, I'll still lean Rangzu to get it done as a big underdog.
All right, I like it. How about you, Dan?
Damn, he just made such a compelling case for Rangju. I mean, listen, Rangju is only a kid, only 24 years old, allegedly.
Keyword.
You know, I remember when Song Yadong was like 19 for like 5 years, and then he was 20, he was 23 for like the next 7 years. But yeah, this is a tough one for me because is Rangju gonna eventually put it together or not? You know what I'm saying? Like, he's been around for a minute. He had a really good performance against Brandon Jenkins, who's doing his thing in karate combat now. Is this the kind of opponent that he can go out there and do his thing against? I mean, the thing about Cody Steele, so there's the fact that he gets hit a lot, but I feel like that's part of his style, man. I feel like part of his style is taking your best shot and kind of breaking you down attritionally and, you know, making you have to dig deep. So, yeah, and I was actually really disappointed in that Rangju result in the Chris Padilla fight, man. Like, I know it was a cut and whatnot, but even leading up to the cut, for being a minus 225 favorite, I expected a little bit more dominance and a little bit more separation. And I think Padilla, man, like, no disrespect to him, but like, Padilla is a journeyman. You know what I'm saying? Like, I wanted to see Rangju really make a statement there, and that just wasn't the case, like, even way before the cut. But with Steele, man, like, making your UFC debut in Australia, it's gonna be tough. I think Steele gets it done, but I don't like the price. I think it's a dog or pass situation.
Yeah, makes sense. I am worried about the whole going all the way to Australia thing too. That's a little bit concerning. But all right, we can move on. Next up, we've got Alexander Topuria making his debut against Colby Thickness. Tyler, why don't you start us off?
I'm so glad I get to start this one off.
Is Tyler down with the thickness?
I'm absolutely down with the thickness. I've been watching this guy's career for a while now, right? Like, I knew about this guy before he got the call, and not many people have. Actually, it was my wife who discovered him first. She was on the MMA subreddit, and dudes out there just like talking or whatever. She found this dude, and she's over there like laughing at me now. So then I like started checking out his fights and stuff, and the dude's a slick grappler. Like, he's not like Islam Makhachev level grappler, but like for a 7-0 guy, he's pretty gosh darn good. And I would say that his level of competition, decent on the regional scene, right? I mean, the guy's 7-0. He was the champion of was it Hex? I think it was. The guy, he's good. He's good. And when you look at the other Topuria, this is the other Topuria, right? Like, there's a lot of red flags. There's a lot of red flags. Like, so many red flags that, to me, it should set off alarm bells immediately, especially when thickness was like plus 400. Wish I would have bet him then. I thought money was going to keep coming in, but people wised up. But, okay, so this Topuria, he's had 6 total fights. 3 of them are a decade ago or further. That's a red flag, okay? I last fought over a decade ago. I shouldn't be like jumping back in there. You know what I mean? Okay, so then he has 3 more fights over the next like 10 years, essentially. His last fight is nearly 2 years ago now, and he's looked fine. But look at the guys he's beating; they're absolute trash. Like, I'm confident you could throw thickness in there against those guys, and he would finish them just as quick. So it's like, okay, what does that tell you? It doesn't tell you that Topuria is this like world beater. His brother is very good, and that is what got him in the UFC. That is 100% what did it. It's not his resume. It's not his skill set. It's because his brother is a world champion, and he was like, yo, my brother's a fighter too. Get him in here. Otherwise, there's no way you get in there beating what, like a 1-9 guy, or like a 6-30 something dude, or like just these horrible tomato cans. And I think he's good. Topuria. I think he has skills, and everyone's comparing him to his brother. They do similar things, but it's clear he's not that level. He doesn't have as good a head movement. He does work the jab high-low, just kind of like his brother does, but he doesn't have the ability to wade in through shots like his brother does. His brother gets hit a lot too. Ilya does. He is good at getting just out of the way enough that when he gets hit, it's not flush. The older Toria doesn't do that as well. He is also more of a grapple first guy. Well, if you're going to grapple with thickness, you're going right into his game plan. The dude is a grappler. On the feet, he's got kicks. His hands are kind of like, he's kind of gangly. But his grappling's pretty good. His takedowns, But if you get on the mat with him, you're going to struggle. And the dude's got insane cardio. Give me Colby thickness to get this one done. I think he wins outright. I don't think it's just because the line's wide. If it was pick him, I'd still be picking him. If he's a slight favorite, I'd still be. I think he's the better fighter here. I think he might struggle in boxing range, but that's about it. At kicking range, I think he's better. In the grappling, I think he's better. In the clinch, I think he's going to be able to get the fight to the mat or take the back. Colby thickness, let's go. We're down with the thickness.
All right, I like it. Starting off hot. How about you, Dravi?
Yeah, this one I'm not gonna take the dog shot on. To me, it's really a fight where I'm gonna just sit and watch and learn about Toria. He's an unknown still, I feel like, and I just think the guy has very good upside. Like, you can say what you want about the tapes and everything, but at the end of the day, he's Ilya Topuria brother. He's training with guys like Marab, like Topuria on the daily, and we know Topuria, his training camp and all the coaches that he has and all the preparation that he does. Like, his brother's always there with him, always been there for him, always helping him on the pads and everything. So I just think that based on that, the guy is going to be good. And like, when you look him, it's more like outside things than actual fighting and what I see on tapes. But when you look on Instagram or on the videos I've seen on YouTube, when he trained with his brother, the way he hit pad, the way he spar, like I can see when I say good fighter, I know, and I think this guy is good. We'll see though, because he needs to prove me, and he's a big favorite, so I'm not gonna play him. But like, thickness, the problem is like, he get hit a lot, he get cracked a lot. I've seen him get dropped a lot, and I think Toria is going to be much stronger than him. But maybe as the fight goes on, because thickness has good cardio and he can push a pace, as the fight goes on, maybe Toria slow down. But that's really the path, like, to me. Like, I don't think thickness is good. He's decent, I guess, but like, he kind of break people as the fight goes on with his cardio, with his pace, with the wrestling. But I don't think he's going to be able to do that early. I think he's going to get hit pretty clean early, get hurt. And then if he can survive, maybe you can up on him live after a round. He's going to be even a bigger dog. But I feel like Topuria is going to finish him and make a statement in his debut. Like, they signed this guy for 1-5 deal at the end of the day. Like, it's pretty clear what they want to do with the Topuria. But I'm kind of glad Topuria versus Cody Adden fight is off, because, again, Cody Adden, one of the guys I'm very high on, one of a Salkilld training partner. So I think they can build both of them pretty highly in the UFC. But we'll see. It's just a spot where I need to watch and learn and see how good he is. But with what I've seen, not really on tapes. I've watched his tapes, but like, I think there's more than that. You need to, I think there's a lot of upside on the guy that we don't really see on tapes and on his record. So it's a guessing game. So I can play a guessing game at -400.
All right, makes sense. How about you, Dan? What are you thinking?
Yeah, I agree as far as the line, but as far as the pick, man, I mean, like, this guy looks good on tape, and I get the opponents suck, but like, when you're a 5-1 prospect, the opponents are supposed to suck. Like, that's just how it goes if you build a prospect correctly, which they've clearly done. And I also bet it's a case where like a bunch of dudes probably turn down fights with this Topuria kid, because I mean, on the feet, his hands look on point. I've seen him throw a nice jab. I've seen him floor guys. And then as far as the grappling, I've seen him pick guys up and slam them violently. I've seen him do all kinds of stuff. His last loss was a decade ago. I mean, people are like holding that against him a decade ago, guys. Like a lot of people weren't even watching UFC 10 years ago. You know what I'm saying? So yeah. And then as far as Mr. Colby down with the thickness, I like him too, man. I mean, like, on the mat, he's opportunistic. He's slick. He knows exactly where he wants the fight to be. He finishes fights. I like him. He's got high-level experience in the gym. But word on the street coming out of Australia is the guy might be a little bit on the chinny side. And, yeah, the one-fight contract thing, that's kind of interesting. But, yeah, I'm going to Topuria here, man. I think people are looking into the record too much. I think that's what a 5-1 prospect that's what their record is supposed to look like. So yeah, give me Topuria here.
Yeah, you look to be the goods then. Like,
yeah, like you either can like see talent or not. Like, and talent is you're supposed to crush these cans. Like, look at Mansur Abdul Malik. I know he fights nothing like Topuria, but like you saw the way he was killing guys on his regional scene, and now he just killed Dusko. No disrespect to Nick Klein, but I think Mansur is like -600 there. So it's nice when that kind of stuff you see it on the regional scene and then it carries over to the UFC. And I think that's what we're going to see with Topuria, man. No disrespect to Down with the Thickness. I'm a fan. I like the kid. And I hope they extend him and give him like another 4-fight contract. But I think Saturday night, the favorite's going to get it done.
Yeah. So for me, I agree with you guys. I lean towards the Topuria side. Obviously, I'm not going to play it with this little information on him. He has less than 6 minutes of fight time since 2015, since that loss. So you can't really be confident. He does seem like the goods to me also. And that interview also really threw me off. The Thickness interview, Dravi mentioned he got signed for a 1-fight deal, but also apparently it's Topuria's manager that found Thickness and I guess brought him in to fight for this 1 fight and to fight in the UFC. So to me, that's super weird. I mean, if that's true, Topuria's management literally handpicked the opponent, brought him into the UFC to lose to Topuria, and that's it. And then he doesn't get another fight. Obviously, if he wins, maybe he'll get one. But to me, that's like a huge red flag. And after that, I didn't have much interest in Thickness. I didn't really either way. Like I didn't have a ton of interest before that. Because for me, yeah, the competition thing is sus. But like, first of all, what Dan was saying, like, Dulgarian is another example, right? Before the UFC, cooked everybody in the first round. And I bet Francis Marshall against him in his debut thinking, all right, he's never fought anyone good. He's finished everybody in the first round. And then he finishes Marshall in the first round too. And the point that I missed there is he handled them accordingly. He got bums and he got them out of there in the first round. And that's what Topuria does. What's up, Dan?
You ever heard of this dude named Habib Nurmagomedov before?
Yes, sir.
Go look at what his first 14 fights.
That's another great example. That's another great example. I don't know if Alexander Topuria is on that level, but I agree with you. And also, it's not like Thickness is fighting studs either. You look at his record, like those guys aren't that good. You watch the tape of them fighting him, like they're not that good. And he's fine. He's solid. He could probably get some UFC wins, but I don't rate him too highly. He has good cardio, good pace, good grappling. Striking's not that good. He's pretty hittable. And Topuria, from what I saw from the little tape we do have, he does seem like a very strong grappler. He does seem like he hits hard. His striking looks solid. So I passed on the money line side. But what I did do was I played the over 1.5. I thought that was a pretty nice line. It was like -112 on Bet Rivers. I took that to win 1 unit. Because the way I see it, I do think Thickness is being underrated a little bit. I think he's a solid guy. I think they only set it at 1.5 because of all of Topuria's finishes. And they kind of just think this is a layup. I think it's going to be a little bit of a difficult fight. I'm a little worried about like an early Topuria knockout, but Thickness seems relatively durable to me. We'll see. I expect a lot of grappling. That tends to kill the clock. At least I hope so. And yeah, we'll see what happens. I like the over. It's dog or pass on the money line, but I don't have interest on the dog personally.
Yeah, I would say it's not even necessarily that he's durable, but he recovers really quick. Because every time you see him get hurt, the dude's like back with it in just a couple seconds.
Yeah, his recovery is very good. That's true.
All right, we can move on. Next up, we've got Kong Wang versus Bruna Brazil. Dravi, start us off.
Yeah, another fight where I thought maybe pre-tape I would have interest in the dog in Brazil here because she's a big dog. Kong Wang just lost her last fight. Brazil looked good as a big underdog against Molly McCain last time out. But looking into this fight, like Bruna Brazil's moving up a weight class here. I'm not sure why. She was not really strong at 115, so maybe she struggled to make weight, and maybe her chin has not been really good in the past. Sometimes she get cracked and she get hurt, so maybe she feel like she cut too much and it's gonna help her cardio and durability. It could be the case here, but overall, the way I see it is, I think Kong Wen, I don't think she got fraud check. I think she got cocky and she got caught. Like, she was dominating the fight. She was looking good to me, and she got caught. I mean, she got cocky and she paid the price for it. That's MMA and shit can happen. But like watching this fight, I think Kong Wen is going to be bigger and stronger. I don't think Brazil's going to have success with the grappling. And on the feet, I mean, Kong Wang's just the much better striker to me. She hit harder. She's more durable. And even cardio-wise, I don't think like there's really an edge on either side. So I feel like there's a chance Kong Wang finish her around 2-3. I almost played that. I ended up passing on it, but I can't get to the money line price, obviously. But I feel like Kong Wang KO, and round 2, round 3 props are pretty good if you want to play her. And if she does cover a price tag, that's probably how she does it. But yeah, I'll pick her to get a finish here by KO. But fading the fighting nerds at minus 400, it's very scary, But we've seen, Bruno Silva last week. Like for the girls at fighting nerds, it doesn't work out as well as the top guys, So we'll see. But I think Kong Wang's gonna win the fight.
I really thought that they were going to help Mayra Bueno Silva, and then she just comes out there and looks terrible. And I was like, all right, maybe it doesn't work for everybody. But Dan, what do you think?
Yeah, y'all want to know something interesting? So I was going to teach jiu-jitsu on like Wednesday or something, and guess who was there? Victoria Leonardo.
No way.
The legendary Victoria Leonardo, because Invicta is actually coming to Atlanta this week. I think Friday. So
she fighting, right?
Yeah, she's fighting and she's coming off a win as well. And then also the main event fighter, Olga Rubin, she was there too. So they were super cool. But in my head, I was like, fuck, like, I'm so glad this girl's never heard any of my breakdowns of her fight before. Because, like, yo, shout out Victoria Leonardo. Like, she had to fight Natalia Silva, Kong Wang, Manon Fiorot, Erin Blanchfield. It's like, holy shit, she's fighting up with killers. But she'll forever be a legend because she beat Mandy Bohm. Y'all remember the absolute stunt Mandy Bohm pulled against Kim that one time. I was actually in attendance for that fight. It was in like South Carolina, which is like, a 3-hour drive from me. But yeah, so shout out Victoria Leonardo. I hope she wins her fight tomorrow.
Same. But
that being said, man, I need to see what Bruna Brazil looks like up a weight class. Like, it could be the best thing she's ever done. It could be the worst thing she's ever done. We have to see. But Kong Wang, as long as she's not absolutely fucking arrogant like she was her last fight. And also the whole dressing up like the Joker thing, that doesn't have the best hit rate in the UFC. You remember when Marcus Maluko did that against Dricus and Dricus face planted him?
Yeah, and now Marcus pillow fights and does professional pillow fighting.
Shout out my boy Maluka. But man, the Joker always dies in the end. So I hope Kong Wang, I think that the fact that she beat Shevchenko in like kickboxing, a decade ago, and then comes in the UFC, gets that one punch knockout. I think it all went to her head. And she probably thought she was God's gift to fighting. So as long as she got humbled, she should do her thing here. But, I mean, I thought Molly McCann was going to do her thing against Bruna Brazil. So I've counted Brazil out before, and she's gone out there and impressed. So I'm passing, but I'll pick Kong Wang.
Yeah, so I'm on Brazil. I played her for a half unit at plus 285 because I'm terrible with line movement. And then I added another half unit at plus 370. For me, I don't understand why people hate Brazil so much. Like, there's some people who just seem to hate her guts, and I just don't get it. I don't think she's a terrible fighter by any means. I think she's actually a good fighter. I think she's talented. Moving up in weight is a little bit concerning for me. I just don't know why she's doing it. But she also has the frame. She's the same size as Kong Wang. And if she fills into it, could be a really good thing for her, especially because she does tend to slow down sometimes in fights. Maybe not having to cut that extra weight is going to help out with the cardio, and she'll fill in. She looked a little bit more physical in the Molly McCann fight, in my opinion, and maybe that's what she's working on. Maybe that's why she moved up. So I don't put too much stock into that. I don't think it's a bad thing. Kong Wang is the better striker for sure, and she's the rightful favorite. I understand that. But she's 6-1. She's relatively inexperienced, and who's tested her? Like before Fernandez, her toughest fight was like the one that went the distance with Wu Yanan, and like, come on. Wu Yanan is fine, but she's not like beating her doesn't mean anything crazy to me. And they went to a decision there. It was a good test for Kong Wang, seeing that she can at least go 15 minutes. But to me, that doesn't mean much. And then like the Fernandez fight, yeah, she looked good till she got finished. Cash that. That was nice. I bet Fernandez there plus 700. That one I just kind of bet out of principle. I didn't really think Fernandez was going to win, but that felt good. Regardless, it's like who's tested the grappling? Fernandez shot 2 times, but Fernandez is a striker. Her weakness is grappling. When Fernandez is losing, most of the time it's because she's getting out grappled. So her failing 2 takedowns on Kong Wang means nothing to me. And then who else has tested the grappling? Nobody. And Bruna Brazil can grapple. She's not bad. She can get takedowns. I think she will get takedowns here. And I think that she could establish top position, land some ground and pound, maybe threaten some subs. I don't think she subs Wang, but maybe she can at least threaten it, win some minutes on the ground. I think on the feet, Kong Wang will be better. She'll be faster. She'll hit harder. But I think Bruna Brazil could be relatively competitive on the feet, mixing the grappling. And I do think this is a winnable fight for her. So I took the shot as a really big underdog. I have a unit stake now, and I'm pretty happy with it. If she dies, she dies. How about you, Tyler?
Yo, first, did you guys see that video? I think it might have been yesterday. I think it was today, of Bruna Brazil out there mimicking Sean Strickland when she was doing.
Yeah.
I was this close to being like, yo, if she's going to fight like that, girl's going to win a split decision almost for sure. And I almost threw a unit on her right there. That almost swayed me. But I don't know that she's going to fight that way. But if she does, it might just work. She was so good at that. Like, that was like, if you were just doing silhouettes, I wouldn't have known the difference. Realistically, though, Wang Chung is probably going to win. I think that's how you're supposed to say. I don't know if that's how you say it. I try my best.
That sounds right.
Yeah, because I think like the C makes like a ch sound. But anyway, so I'm gonna take her to get the win. But like, I'm really tempted by the Bruna Brazil line because Brazil is good. The weight class could be a good thing. I like her moving up in weight better than I like somebody else on this card moving up in weight that we'll talk about in a bit. And I do think that that's something that she could, build into her frame, have a little more pop on her shots, not get knocked out, things like that. I think that's going to help her. But I do think that Wang Chung has good enough striking to be able to keep Brazil on the back foot because she is willing to back up, or at least she's shown that in her fights in the past. And she occasionally, when she is backing up, starts doing the lean back defense. And the thing about the lean back defense is you can only get out of the way the first 1, maybe 2, but you got nowhere to go because once you're leaning back, you can't move your feet back anymore because your head's already back past your feet. So then the only thing you can do is just keep trying to lean back further, and you run out of space really fast, and then you get cracked by the 3rd and 4th punch. And I think that Wang Chung can follow with the shots, put combinations together, do what she needs to do, and even chase with that side kick that she likes a lot. So I'm going to take her to get it done, but Brazil's got a shot. Like, she's got a real shot as an underdog. And I don't fault anybody for playing that one. I was close on switching.
All right, there we go. Let's move on, though. Next fight, we've got Tom Nolan versus Vyacheslav Borchev. Dan, start us off.
So, yeah, you got to get pumped for a Slavoclass fight, man. Every single time this guy fights, he puts on the kind of fights that the fans want to see. And Tom Nolan, the thing about him, like we were talking about with Quinlan Salkilld, like the age, only 24, 25 years old, only 7-1, 8-1. Like these kids that have had less than 10 pro fights, you're going to be seeing these big improvements every single fight. But with that being said, they're also not, immune to taking roadblocks along the way. And for Tom Nolan to win this fight, he'll have to have leveled up big time since his last fight. Now, I actually wasn't as low on the Reyes performance as other people were because I think that, it's part of growing pains, man. Like when you watch like Carlos Condit or Tim Means, the kind of guys that Tom Nolan modeled his style after, like when they were like 7-1 and stuff, they were probably like, having sloppy fights like that too. Like that's just how it goes, man. That's part of, the maturation process in this game. It is what it is. But that being said, I know where Slavoclass is at, whereas I don't know where Tom Nolan is at. And the price isn't enticing enough for me to want to roll the dice on where Tom Nolan is at. So for that reason, I'm going to go with Slavoclass. I know that this guy's takedown defense is actually underrated. People say his takedown, like people act like you can just Augusta win and he's going to fall over. That is the biggest fake news, dude. Like his sprawl is getting a lot better if you actually pay attention, man. His get-up game is getting a lot better than compared to the old days, like the Mark DeCasey and the Mike Davis days. So this guy's been putting in work. You have to go out there and you have to hurt Borchev to beat him these days. So Nolan, he's dangerous. He's rangy, but I think he probably takes a setback here. So give me Slava.
Yeah, I like Slava too. You touched on it with the grappling. I wanted to talk about that because, like, I've heard a few people talk about Nolan wrestle. When does Nolan wrestle? Ever?
So he
When?
doesn't wrestle. The only thing I'd say is like he went for a standing Darce and pulled it down to the mat in that third round of that last fight. So that was pretty cool. But
Yeah, but Reyes was initiating the grappling there. Slava's not going to do that.
Yeah, exactly.
Slava's there to strike, and like you also mentioned, Mike Davis and Mark Diakese. Those guys are way better wrestlers than Nolan, who doesn't wrestle. But anyways, even that aside, I like Slava here a lot. I am a little bit worried about the chin because Nolan does hit very hard. He is a young kid. He's improving, and he's a good striker, and he's very rangy. So I do get it, and that's why I didn't go as heavy on Slava as I thought I would. But like this is the fight Slava wants. He wants a striking affair where the guy's not going to be shooting on him, and that's what he's getting. And he's a way better striker than Tom Nolan. I don't think Nolan's going to be able to keep the distance and like keep Slava away. I think Slava's going to be able to close that distance, going to be able to land. He's nasty to the body. He's incredibly fast. He's such a good striker, and it's so fun to watch him. And I just think he's going to knock out Tom Nolan. I get it. Both of them are kind of chinny, but to me, like Slava getting hurt by some of these guys, like what's his name? Sadikov slipped up on his name. Like him, he hits hard. I get it. It happens. With Nolan, like he got hurt by Victor Martinez. That was terrible. He got dropped by Victor Martinez. Getting knocked out by Mota, that's not a huge deal to me. Mota does hit hard, and I think he's a pretty good fighter. But getting hurt by Victor Martinez, not a good look. I know a lot of people are talking about the Chase Hooper knockdown for Slava. That was very surprising. I'll give you that. But I think that was more so Slava just not expecting it. He was worried about the takedowns. Hooper went upstairs and knocked him down. We saw a similar thing with Bryce Mitchell when he fought Edson Barbosa. I don't know about you guys. I certainly did not think he would knock down Edson Barbosa, but he did in a similar kind of situation. So I just think that Slava's going to be the better striker. I think he's going to be faster. I think out of the two of them, he does seem more durable to me. I think his recovery is better. He's fought the much better level of competition. So, yeah, I like Slava. I played him at -145. Once again, got reverse CLV'd. It happens to me pretty often at this point. It is what it is. And I've got 2 units on him. How about you, Tyler?
Did you notice how everybody got really tense when you said Bryce Mitchell? Please, dude. It's too soon. Don't bring that guy up right now. You're going to get flagged.
Just talking about his fight. Just talking about the Barbosa fight.
All right. No. I'm going to be on an island here again. I'm sure of it. I'm taking Tom Nolan. I feel like he's going to crack Slava at some point. The dude's had so many fights, and like he's getting dropped easier and easier. And I think Tom Nolan can do it. The dude is, I mean, sure, the Reyes fight was weird because like everybody expected him to get the finish, but the dude can hit hard, and he's got a lot of weapons. He's got a massive wingspan. Yeah, I think he can crack him at some point. I think he could sub him at some point with a club and sub. Could we get a vet lesson here from Borchev? Absolutely. It could definitely happen. I'm just going to stay away. I'm going to be kicking my feet up on the coffee table for this one, sitting there watching this one, drinking a root beer, nothing crazy. But I think Nolan is the more dangerous in more areas type of fighter in this fight. Borchev is extremely dangerous in his area, and that's the kickboxing. That's ripping body shots, things like that. I think Nolan has more options. I'm going to take him in this one. And if I'm wrong, then, he's got a couple other things going in his favor. Hometown advantage or like the home country advantage, It's just, it's hard for me to get to a Borchev side. He just hasn't looked good lately. I guess that's kind of, what have you done for me lately kind of thing? Maybe that's what got me to this pick, I think.
What has Tom Nolan done for you lately?
I mean, he's got wins lately. I mean, he's got 1 loss and that's it. Whereas like Borchev's been losing a lot.
He's coming off of a win too, bro.
Yeah, but like he's got a lot of bad looks lately. I mean, the dude's been getting dropped left and right. He's been getting like, I don't know. Maybe it's just me. Maybe
you know who's been dropped in 2 of their last 3 fights, right? Tom Nolan.
Oh, okay, yeah, okay. That's okay. Fair. But I mean, okay. So we got in the last 5, we've got 2 losses for Slava, and he's also got the draw, which I mean he kind of lost that one. It depends on who the ref is in that fight. But okay. Yeah, I mean you're fair. You're making a fair point. I don't know. He's just
spitting facts. Just spitting facts.
Yeah, he is coming off a win though. You're right. He is coming off a win. But it's James Lontop, man. And that guy like It was a split.
Yeah, but it's Tom Nolan. I mean, it's not
Yeah.
like Jesus Christ or something.
That's fair. That's fair. I don't know. Wait, Nolan's only lost one in his last 5 fights.
He's only lost one fight ever.
Yeah, okay, that's right. Okay.
Yeah, but
Yeah, the
like
only loss was Nicholas Bato.
look who they've been fighting, though. You know,
Yeah.
But Victor
the body
Martinez,
advantage
man.
is where
Victor
it's all-
Martinez.
Slava was like fighting real dudes on his regionals, like Kenley St. Louis.
That dude's underrated. Will
There
Starks.
was another one he fought. He's fought some real ass dudes. So
Yeah, I mean Slava's really good. I don't know. I think he's getting hurt too much. I think Tom Nolan's gonna catch him with something.
yeah, Nolan's dangerous, man. I'd like to see Nolan make those improvements because like the potential is there, man. It's just, less than 10 pro fights, 25 years old. So hopefully this is the time. He shines in his home crowd. That'd be cool to see.
No,
He's got
not this
5
time. I
knockouts.
have a bet on Slava, not here.
Oh,
Let him
shit.
shine the next fight.
All right. Well, may the best man win. How about
There
we
you
go. There we go.
that?
All right. Dravi's sitting in the corner over here quietly. Dravi, you gonna make it two against 2 here?
No, but honestly, I don't feel strongly about it. If anything, I'll lean the under. I feel like someone's gonna get served in that one. But yeah, the level of competition, like you guys mentioned, it's a good point. And also, if you look like even on the regional and even the UFC, like I'm watching on Topology right now, like he beat up Dakota Bush, right? Slava, he knocked him out. If you look right now, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. He's on a 6-fight winning streak, Dakota Bush, on regional right now. And the other guys you mentioned, Kennedy St. Louis, also on a big win streak. So,
Big win streak.
Will Starks is also legit. He hasn't fought in a while,
like,
though.
6-fight win streak as well. So, like, the guy he's beating are winning currently. And the guy he's losing to are also on a roll, like Mike, but not Mike Davis. Shout out ZM. But, JKC is winning outside the UFC still. Chase Hooper's on a roll. But yeah, yes, he historically struggled against grappler or guys that are trying to take him down. But here, I don't think it's going to be the case. I think it's going to be a striking match. I'm worried about both guys' chin. You guys both all talk about their chin, but I think both of their chin are not great. The thing I'll say though is, I think Slava's a dog. Like if he gets hurt, he can recover and he got beat up and got 10-8 against Sadikov. He came back and he won the 3rd round in that fight. Let's not forget about it. The guy has that dog in him. Like he's not gonna quit on you. Even Shea Super, he beat his ass in the 1st round. He still managed to go into the 2nd round and he's still trying to win the fight. So, and he didn't even tap when he tried to submit him. So the guy is just a dog. And Tom Nolan, if the things get tough, if he gets hurt, I'm not sure he's gonna find a way to win. He did in one of his fights. He got dropped and he still found a way to win. But yeah, he gets hurt a lot. But he's so much taller, so much longer. He's so much younger. There's a couple of things to like, and he has power. So fighting at home and stuff like that. But I just think Borchev is the better striker in a mostly striking match. And he makes his shot way better than Nolan. And Nolan defense is not great. His chin's not great. But they can both land a big shot and knock out each other. So under for me, if anything. But as far as the pick goes, I'll go with Borchev getting the victory here.
All right, fair enough. And we can move on to the next fight. We've got Jack Jenkins versus Gabriel Santos. I'll start us off here. Relatively short breakdown. I just think Santos is a little bit better everywhere. Jenkins may be better in the boxing range up close. He's got the leg kicks. Everyone's talking about it all week. Commentary team's going to be talking about it nonstop like they do. He's got great leg kicks. He's a good striker, Jack Jenkins. Solid takedown defense. But I just think Santos is better at range. I think he has more weapons in his arsenal. I like the kicks a lot. I think he mixes it up really well. He can switch stances, so I'm not super worried about the leg kicks. And I think like at the end of the day, he's going to be able to get takedowns. I like his grappling a lot. I think that Jenkins' takedown defense is decent, like I said, but I think he can be taken down. Santos is going to be the bigger, more physical guy, good jiu-jitsu. I think he could take the back. I think a sub is live. I don't think it's going to happen, but it is live. So more ways to win, bigger guy. I think he's a little bit better everywhere except maybe just straight boxing up close. So for me, it's Santos. I ended up parlaying him with Drickus. That's all I got for him. And yeah, what do you think, Tyler?
Yeah, Santos as well. This is not one I'll be the lone one on the dog here. I think Santos is better everywhere. Jenkins, like you said, has a couple of things, and something he's done really well in the UFC is doing just enough. Like in fights like the Emmers fight, it stands out to me is where like he probably didn't win that, but he did just enough that the judges gave it to him. So being his home country has that advantage. But I think Santos is going to be far better. I think he's going to be better everywhere. I think he's going to have enough output, and I think he's going to be able to take it, whether it goes to the scorecards or if he's able to get the finish. But Jenkins is tough. I'm going to lean that it goes to the scorecards. So we're gonna say decision for Santos.
Yeah, and I forgot to mention also the level of competition. I feel like Santos has just fought the better guys. Like Lerone Murphy, I played Lerone Murphy heavy there because I was like, Santos is good. I've seen him in LFA, but he's making his debut against a guy who I think is really, really good. And I felt like Santos won that fight. And then though
Santos, and I felt like I got robbed.
You did get robbed. That sucks, man. And then the Onama fight, it is what it is. I thought he looked fine until he got knocked out. Onama's a freak athlete. Dude hits like a train. And then what was the last one? Yaji, is that his name?
Yeah, he beat the heck out of him.
I thought that was a good performance too. But yeah, sorry, Dravi, your turn.
Yeah, I agree with you guys. Not going to talk too much about it, but I think the advantage in the grappling is massive. Like in this fight, Santos is just a much better grappler, and I see Jenkins doing things on the ground that I don't like against less grappler. Here, if Santos get on top, I feel like he's very likely to submit him, and I also give Santos all the finishing upside. I think if there's a finish in this fight, it's going to be him. And I just think he's slightly better everywhere. Like Jenkins can compete on the feet. The leg kick's going to be something people are going to talk of. He's very good with it. But at the end of the day, I've seen Santos check leg kicks. I've seen Santos fight well from both stances. So I don't really think it's going to be a problem here. And I still favor him on the feet. So it's like better striker, better grappler, better level of competition, all the finishing upside. And yeah, I'm high on the guy. I bet Lerone Murphy. So it sucks for you to remind us, Mike. But yeah, I mean, I thought you won that fight as well. And we know Murphy's on his way to the top 5, top 3 in the division right now. And yeah, Santos is just very good to me. He's shoot-to-box guy now since his last fight. And Jenkins, all right, but he could win a close decision, I guess, at home. But outside of that, I don't really see how he wins. I think Santos has him covered everywhere.
All right, how about you, Dan?
I got 3 words for you. Gabriel Moscatinho Santos. And also, if you've never seen these fights, you need to see his regional wars against Elvis Brenner. Like, you want to talk about 2 guys with ultimate desire that have zero quit in them, that just go for it for 3 straight rounds. You talk about Gabriel Santos versus Elvis Brenner. And then you want to talk about one of the best LFA fights and regional fights you've ever seen in your life. You talk about Gabriel Santos versus Marcio Barbosa. That fight was insane. Y'all should check it out. And hopefully this Barbosa kid comes to the UFC soon as well.
Delano too. That was a good win. Also, another really good guy. Tyler, are you talking to us? Because you're muted.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, Delano fights tomorrow, doesn't he?
Yeah, he does. He's fighting a Russian, I think.
Mm-hmm.
All right, we can move on. Next up, we've got our first main card fight. We've got Jake Matthews versus Francisco Prado, moving up to welterweight for some reason. Tyler, why don't you start us off?
Yeah, I don't know why he's moving up. I mean, I get it because he hasn't had a lot of success in the UFC to this point. Was he like 1-2 or something like that? I think 1-2. Is that right?
He lost to Malarkey, beat a Zaitar, and then lost again. Yeah.
Just making sure I got that right. So I get it. If you're not having success, you want to try something different. But I just don't think moving up to welterweight is the move. It's a big jump between lightweight and welterweight, and he's not massive for lightweight. I mean, he's a thick dude. He's whatever, but like it's a big jump, and it's tough for Jake Matthews because he's been in the UFC since he was 19 years old. Like, if you guys, I mentioned this as well in my video this week. It's, if you guys remember the Ultimate Fighter Nations, it was Australia versus Canada. That's the season of the Ultimate Fighter that Jake Matthews came from. Most of the people that were on that season are long retired now. Jake Matthews is 30 years old. That's crazy. Like, this dude's been around. So there's good and bad with that. Good experience at the highest level. Bad is he didn't get to really just beat up on tomato cans outside the UFC for a while. Like the dude was in there since he was 19. So he still has a few holes in his game. He's inconsistent in his performances, at least from what I can tell. So I have a hard time backing a guy like Jake Matthews as a big favorite. But I also feel like, I mean, he's going to have a size advantage. He's going to have the home field advantage. Like he massive experience. Like he should have advantages pretty much everywhere. So, I mean, and when you look at who he's losing, I mean, the Semmelsberger loss is actually aged horribly. But like other than that, I mean, he loses to Sean Brady, he loses to Michael Morales. It's not like these are like bad losses, but then he's beaten guys that you're like, okay, like Darius Flowers. Like it's not really doing it for me. So I don't know. I'm going to take Jake Matthews, but I need to stay away from this one. There's just too many things that make me uneasy. But I don't like the move up and weight for Prado on this one.
All right. How about you, Dravi?
Yeah, that's a fight I think Prado has a good chance of winning it. Just because of, you touched a little bit on it, Tyler. Matthews inconsistent. And Prado, like, not sure I like the move up, but the guy is young. He's been at American Top Team for a couple months now. That's his full camp at ATT. So I like that for these, Argentina guy when they go out there at ATT training with real guys, real training partner, good fighters. It's going to improve his ground game and him as a fighter overall. And yeah, I mean, the Daniel Zellhuber fight, you watch that. It was a banger, right? You won the first round on all two judges' scorecard in that fight, by the way. And like, he got bust up in the second round and with a jab, and his eye basically shut off. And then he couldn't see in one of his eyes, and he ended up losing the fight. It was a war, but like, he never stopped coming. He has that dog in him. He's gonna fight for your money if you bet him. And yeah, he does hit hard. He does pressure. And I've seen Matthews hurt in fights before against guys that are pressuring him and that hit hard. So Matthews also, I've noticed, he doesn't really grapple a lot in his fights recently. If you watch, he only has 2 takedowns, I think, in his last 5 fights, and it's 65 minutes of fight time. And 4 of these 5 guys are not good grappler or are people that he should have grappled against and make it look pretty easy. And you're not sure, Mike, but like if you look at me, Andrew Fiallo, Semmelsberger.
He was 20 times faster than Fiallo, and he was cooking him on the feet. Why would he wrestle him?
He got dropped at the end of the first round. He almost got knocked out because of that.
He was still cooking him, and he got the knockout.
I mean,
I don't see why he had to wrestle there. And against Semmelsberger, he was just getting his ass beat. So, like, it is what it is. That happened. But Semmelsberger's like twice the size of Prado. Flowers, again, he was cooking him.
And Semmelsberger has 10 UFC knockdowns.
Yeah, he does hit like a truck too.
And then Michael Morales, like, what would Michael Morales do to Prado? Wipe the floor with him. And then Phil Rowe, like, it's Phil Rowe. Yeah, he probably should have grappled a little bit. I just don't think he felt the need to.
Yeah, to your credit, I said 4 or 5 guys. I was not including Morales in that category, but I'm just saying he's the much better grappler than 4 of these 5 guys, and he didn't grapple. He decided to strike with them. And my point is, he fell in love with his hands, and he loved that because he's a good striker. Like, he's fast, he's all right. I play him against Fiallo. He was the underdog in that fight. But I'm just saying, because of that, he can get caught, and he can end up losing fight that he should not lose. Like, he got dropped at the end of the first round of Fiallo. Maybe in the underworld, he got knocked out in that fight. He should never get dropped by Fiallo. He's not even a UFC caliber fighter. But he won these fights based on speed and durability. And I just don't see him dropping Prado here or hurting Prado. And if he doesn't grapple, I think the fight's going to be competitive. So if he grapple, he has a lot of experience. He can probably cover his price. But I've not really seen from the guy recently as 65 minutes of fight time. Again, 2 takedowns on 5 attempts. So yeah, to me, I got to take a shot on Prado here, being the what it is, a year and a half that he took, something like that, since the Zellhuber fight.
What was that? Sorry, I got distracted by the Bryce Mitchell in our comment section.
Yeah, like a year.
A year off, right? So a year off at 22 years old with a full camp at American Top Team. I feel like we can see improvement here. So I'm kind of betting on the upside on the kid. I feel like he's pretty good. But yeah, Matthew could grapple and wash him in the grappling. That's possible. So that's a risk, but he's also plus 200. So I feel like he has a good chance to win it. But as far as the pick goes, I'll pick Matthews slightly, but yeah, I think Prado has a really good chance to get it done.
Fair enough. How about you, Dan?
Yeah, listen, man, Prado is a dog for sure. He does come to fight, but my issue is the move up in weight. Like, he doesn't have, like, when you talk about like the Phil Rowe fight or the Semmelsberger fight, like these guys are like 6'3". These guys would have to cut their legs off to make 155 pounds, you know? Like, Phil Rowe's out here missing weight at 70s. Like, Phil Rowe has an 80-inch reach. Like, when you fight guys that are like 6'3", 6'4" with an 80-inch reach, you have to be so on point defensively, because one little mistake, you know, these guys throw a jab or a straight right from downtown, you think you're in a spot where you're safe, and all of a sudden your head's getting popped back. And in Jake's case, he's getting dropped by Matthew Semmelsberger in a fight where he actually wasn't doing that bad. He just got clipped every single round, you know. But my big takeaway after watching tape, because going into the tape, I was thinking, well, firstly, I don't know why, but I've always had a bias against Jake Matthews. I've always enjoyed betting against him, whether it was the James Vick fight back in the day, like plus 160. Vick choked him out in the first round. The Li Jingliang fight, I lost my ass betting against Jake Matthews there. I lost on the Phil Rowe fight as well. But when I rewatched that Phil Rowe fight, for some reason, I thought, like, in my memory, that it was this close fight, but Jake outclassed him, man. Jake looked pretty damn good in that fight. And he's another one of these guys, like we're going to talk about with Tafa coming up. Jake's been in the UFC since he was 19, so he grew up in the UFC. Tafa came into the UFC at 3-0, right? So he grew up in the UFC. Like, so when you grow up in the UFC, you get to see all the mistakes under the magnifying glass, whereas these other guys have already made their mistakes on the regional scene. But to Prado's credit, he's another one of those guys, because he came into the UFC at 20 years old when he took that short notice fight against Malarkey, you know? But all that being said, man, I think he's like 5'8" with a 69-inch reach. Yeah, listen, if Dober can make 55, you can make 55, kid. But I get it. Dober's a lot richer. Dober can pay for the proper, you know, supplements and nutrition to get him down to 55. But still, man, this kid Prado's at ATT, at Anabolic Top Team. Like, you'd think they'd get him with the right people to make him make 155 properly. Like, I get it. He's a thick kid, so I'm sure the cuts aren't fun. But you can't have a 69-inch reach at 170 in 2025 anymore, man. You can't be like the days of like a dude that's like 5'6" winning a belt at 70s. It was like when Matt Serra knocked out GSP. Like, yeah, I think he's too small. So give me Jake Matthews here. And I also think Jake Matthews being listed at 5'10", 5'11" is also fake news, because like I said, he was in the UFC when he was 19. So they probably measured his stats back then, but he's actually closer to like 6 feet. If you look on his IG, there's a picture of him and Jimmy Crud, who's a light heavyweight. And I mean, Jimmy wasn't dwarfing him by any means. So yeah, I think there's gonna be a size difference, but most importantly, there's gonna be a big experience difference. And yeah, I got Jake Matthews here.
I'm pretty sure there's a lot of credit to that, is him growing, because I don't remember when it was I heard this, but he said that he had like grown an inch since his debut in the UFC. So like, he's definitely at least an inch taller.
Yeah.
So there's
he's
something
for
to
sure
that.
6 feet at least.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so for me, I also like Matthews. I went into it thinking maybe Prado would be a decent dog shot. I knew a few people on him, Dravi included, and I respect Dravi's opinion. So I went into it thinking maybe this is a good spot. And Matthews, you know, not really a guy you want to trust at chalk most of the time. But when I taped it, I was like, I think it's Matthews all day. Can he drop the ball? Yeah, I'm sure he can. It's MMA. Prado's a dog. He'll fight for your money. Hits relatively hard, but like, does he really? Why didn't he at least like hurt Malarkey? Because Malarkey's chinny. Malarkey's getting hurt every other fight. If Prado's this hard-hitting tank of a man, why did he not even wobble him? You know? So for me, like, I feel like the power might be overplayed a little bit. I don't understand at all why he's moving up. I thought he was a small lightweight. Now he's going up to welterweight. Like, I'm sorry, he has no future there. Like, he just doesn't. If he's going to stay at welterweight, he's going to be a journeyman at best, gatekeeper at best. Because, like, how? Can you imagine him against Michael Morales or Sean Brady? Can you imagine him against Sean Brady? Like, he's going to struggle with the physicality of all these dudes. He's just too small. Being a dog, hitting hard is only going to get you so far. And at the end of the day, he's also incredibly hittable still. His takedown defense, to me, is not good. When he's on his back, he gets stuck. Like when Malarkey took him down, that was it. He took him down in the first round with 3 minutes left, and he was stuck for 3 minutes. In the third round, he took him down with like a minute and a half left, and he was stuck for a minute and a half. So Matthews is a very good grappler, in my opinion. He's going to be the more physical guy. I think if he shoots for those takedowns, he will get them. I hope he shoots. He probably should. It would be smart. But on the feet, I don't think he's out of luck either. Like, will he keep range like Zeljuber and be like as like nice to watch? No. But he's also a good striker, and he's very fast. I noticed that. He is fast. He mixes targets well. He'll dig to the body. So for me, I feel like Matthews really should win this fight. He'd have to really fumble it to lose, in my opinion, personally. Now he's going to come out there just getting knocked out, but it's MMA. I ended up playing Matthews' decision. I think it's a solid spot. Prado's very tough, very durable. Don't really think Matthews finishes. And yeah, that's all I got. And we can move on.
Yeah, the over might be a good look in that. It's probably juice though, huh?
The over's minus 150. It's not bad.
Huh. Okay.
Well, no, over 2.5 is minus 175. Fight goes is minus 150. My bad.
Okay. It's not terrible.
Yeah, I don't think that's bad either. Like, I think if
tough.
the finish happens, it's probably Prado knockout, but I don't think he's going to knock Matthews out personally.
Right.
All right. Moving on. We got Jimmy Crud coming back from retirement against Rodolfo Bellato. And Dravi, you're starting us off for this one, brother.
Yeah, it's a fight where I think you flip a coin. Like I think both of them can get knocked out brutally in the first round.
Who's heads and who's tails?
No.
Crud is definitely tails. Definitely tails.
He does live down under, so yeah, that checks out.
Damn, we got heads.
Oh, man.
We got
Wow, it
heads.
is.
Yeah, man, it's a tricky fight. Like, I think I'll mention is like again Tafa fighting at home, 10 UFC fights against this guy Techera. That's a big step up for him. His first like real test, if I can say, in his debut.
Wait, wrong fight.
Which fight? My bad.
We're on Crud Bellato.
Oh fuck! It's also a flip a coin fight though. For me at least, I thought we were on Tafa Techera, but still, point remain. It's a flip a coin fight. I don't have a good read on it. I feel like either guy can get knocked out. So basically the same read. But there's a couple of things I like about Bellato game. I know a lot of people are criticizing him this week, but I mean, the pace that he pushed, the cardio that he has, and the clinch work and the volume that he push on, like it's very good. Like you got to keep up with the guy because he's gonna break you. But in the process, he has the no striking defense. He's getting hit a lot. He's getting cracked a lot. But he's a dog. You got to put him out if you want to finish him. So respect to him for that. But again, Crud, it's not a guy I want to trust and put my money on. Where is it at this point? Where is he at this point in his career? We don't really know. He retired in his last fight. He's still young. He might retire again after a loss here. It's not the type of fighters that I want to have my money on. But look, he can go out there and knock this guy out in the first round. Like he has the power to do so. He's at Bangtai Muay for this camp with Jake Matthews, by the way. So maybe we see improvements in the striking. But where's his? He said he found Jesus Christ, that he's coming. He doesn't really care if he wins or lose. Basically, he said like he doesn't need to fight. He doesn't need MMA in his life. I'm not sure I'm in love with all that, but I know Bellato wants to be there. I know that's his life and that's what he wants to do at least. So yeah, man, I just think that overall, if Bellato get hurt, he's gonna try to win at all costs. And if Jimmy Crud get hurt, he might say, all right, I'm done with it. So in the grappling, they're both pretty good grapplers. I'm not sure they're going to submit each other. I feel like it's going to play out on the feet for the most part, where I trust Bellato a bit more. I trust his, not to say his chin, but I trust his heart more if he gets hurt. And I like his cardio, his pace that he push on. So I think he's going to get it done here. I'm going to pick him to win. I'll say by knockout, but it could be decision also. But I feel like someone's going to get served at some point in that fight.
All right. Makes sense to me. How about you, Dan?
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how Crud looks. I heard an interview with him. Apparently, like he really stepped up his faith in God, and that can be like a really good thing or a really bad thing. It could be a really good thing in the sense that maybe now he found his purpose and he's going to feel free and take more risks and, feel like, the outcome doesn't matter. He can just go out there and perform, get out of his own way. Or it could be a situation like Rory McDonald when he kind of got a little bit religious. It kind of softened him up and took his killer completely away. So I don't know which one's it going to be. Is this like it's either going to be the best Crud we've ever seen or Crud retires on Saturday. There's no in between here. So we just got to determine which one it is. Because let me tell you something about Rodolfo Bato. Rodolfo Bato will make Jimmy Crute fight, period, point blank. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. If you sign the dotted line to fight Rodolfo Bato, you are going to get into a fight. That's just the bottom line. So yeah, we'll see exactly where Crute's at here. I feel bad for Crute because I feel like the original matchup against Prachnio was such a good matchup for Crute. Like even if Crute didn't show up, he could still beat Prachnio. Whereas if Crute doesn't show up against Bato, he's getting finished. So give me Bato, but I'm a pass from a betting perspective.
Yeah, fair enough. So for me, I've been changing my pick depending on what hour it is of the day. I've been going back and forth. I feel like skill for skill, Crud is the better guy, fought the higher level of competition, more proven, but I don't think it's by much. I feel like Balato's close to him in skills everywhere. Like striking, I lean Crud, but not by much. Wrestling, I lean Crud, but not by much. Jiu-jitsu, I lean Crud, but not by much. And like Bato, I think he's got the cardio edge by a decent bit, pace edge. He'll fight for your money. He's got that dog in him. Crud is just like hard to trust at this point, at any point really, but especially now, it's hard to trust with the whole retirement thing. That was just weird. But for me, I don't really want to pick a side because I'm not crazy high on Bato either. I think he's a little bit chinny. Just not super high on him. My guy Igor almost got him out of there. That was fun. But what I do like here from a betting perspective, I really liked fight ends by KO at plus money. I was surprised that it was plus money. I got plus 100 on the dot. I played it for a unit. The way I see it, both guys are chinny. Both guys have abysmal striking defense with their chins way up in the air. Both guys hit really hard, and both guys have good jiu-jitsu, so I think it'll cancel out to the point where if a sub happens, it's probably a club and sub. So at plus money, I feel like that's the way to do it. That way, whoever gets knocked out, I win either way. And yeah, I like it. Tyler, did you go?
I have not.
No, right? What are you thinking here?
I'll make it quick because we flipped a coin. It came up Bato. That's about how I feel about this fight. Yeah, I mean, also, man, like there's so much mental stuff going on with Crud. That's a big red flag. I'll take Bato, but there's zero chance I'm putting money on this. Like if I had to, like gun to my head, I would play the under. But even then, I don't want to do that. So I don't want to touch this fight at all. Balato's the pick, I guess, because I have to make a pick.
I like it, MMA clips. That's pretty good. Not bad at all.
I hope it misses. Sorry. I got thickness here, so I'm hoping that Toria does not win it.
It's a good one. I agree, though.
It could hit, though.
All right, we're going to move on to the heavyweight fight. Dan, I'm sure we'll be right back, so I'll start us off here. We got Techera versus Justin Tafa. Like you guys mentioned, coin flip fight maybe, but honestly, I actually thought that Techera at minus 135 was a decent spot, and I did play him. I understand that he can be cracked. I understand that he doesn't use the range that he could have. But look, it's a close line. He's a younger guy. He's taken much less damage. He's got more ways to win. I understand that he doesn't grapple, but he does have the jiu-jitsu black belt. And if it does hit the ground, he will have that upside. If he was minus 300, that'll be a different story. At minus 135, with the huge size difference, with the fact that he does have the grappling upside in his back pocket, with the fact that I think he's a little bit lighter on his feet, I think he's faster. If he does decide to use that range, he can, clearly. And Tafa, I just don't think Tafa's any good. Like, he hits very, very hard, yes. But, like, his wins are crap. His losses are crap. He's losing to Jared Vandera, of all people. If he doesn't knock you out in the first 7.5 minutes, he's not winning the fights. So I don't really have a ton of interest on him. Yeah, maybe he gets the knockout, but I feel like there's a lot of potential upside with Techera. And at a close line, I thought it was worth a shot to win one unit. So I took it. How about you, Tyler?
We are drastically seeing different things in this fight. So little peek behind the curtain here. Before I go and watch tape again for each fight, I look back at my notes that I had, because I take notes live watching fights, right? So I look back at my notes that I took during the Contender Series fight for Techera, and it straight up said, fade this guy against anybody that'll come forward and can strike at all. He's terrible. He's horrible. He's tall and athletic, and that is it. Like, sure, he might have a jiu-jitsu black belt. What is his skyscraper ass going to do? Shoot a double leg on Tafa? No. If he's going to get this to the mat, he needs to be taken down or just clumsily fall on him, and he's getting knocked out before that happens. I'm surprised that Tafa's the underdog here. I didn't think Techera looked good at all against a light heavyweight that also didn't look very good. I don't think Techera's that good. I think he's going to get knocked out. I think Tafa wins this one pretty easy. And like, I know that sounds crazy because it's Tafa, but I'd take Jared Vanderaa over Techera like as well. So it's like, I know you're saying like, oh, Vanderaa. Tafa's getting this done. I think. I feel like he's going to smash the leg kicks. I feel like he's going to crack him in the face, and it's going to be over.
All right, fair enough. How about you, Dravi?
Yeah, I'll agree with the Tafa side here. And again, it's a fight I mentioned, flip a coin. I'm not super confident, but I think the line should be reversed, honestly. Just because there's a lot of unknown on this Techera guy. He's making his debut, the flight to Australia, against the guy that has, I'm not high on Tafa, but he has 10 UFC fights at the end of the day. We know what we're going to get with him. Techera, I don't know what to expect with him as the fight extends. I don't know. I mean, he looks to have a good chin, and the reasons I know that is because he's getting cracked by these bums. But, Tafa hit harder than all these guys that he got hit by so far. And, you can't just get hit like that. And the guy has a good jab, good 1-2. He's good at distance, but he always finds himself in the pocket trying to swing with people. That's what he likes to do. That's what he does. And the problem with the guy like Tafa and the reach difference is when they're going to be in the pocket, who's going to land first? The guy with a big, long reach like Techera, or the guy that's super fast in the pocket with a smaller reach? I think that's going to be Tafa that's going to be on the target first. And I just don't see this guy trying to jab Tafa at distance and trying to outpoint him. That's not going to happen. And then you mentioned the grappling upside. I know he has a BJJ black belt, but I've never seen this guy sniff a takedown in all of his tape that I've watched. So he's knocking this guy out, so props to him. But I got to see it to believe it. Like, if you've never seen anything that you're going to grapple in any fight, I'm not going to assume you're going to grapple. I get Tafa is not that good of a grappler. But to his credit, his takedown defense looked better against Carl Williams, in my opinion, at least. He get up in that fight. He got back up one time in that fight. He defended like 2-3 takedowns. And Carl Williams is a good wrestler. Like, he's not a good finisher, but his wrestling is good for MMA heavyweight. So, yeah. And again, Tafa, I know what I'm getting with him. He's durable. He could get knocked out here. That's possible. But so could Techera. And he's going to play Tafa game. He's going to try to, we'll land first and we'll get knocked out first. But adding the long trip to Australia, adding the cardio unknown, adding the step up in competition, they're just, I don't think Tafa should be a dog here. And I'm not a Tafa guy, not whatsoever, but I feel like it's a good spot for him here.
All right, fair enough. How about you, Dan?
Yeah, it's a tough one, man. Flip a coin again, because Techera, he's like 6'8". He's a killer. People comparing him to Struve. I get it. He's tall and he's got tall man's defense, but he actually fights tall in the sense that, like, he actually uses a jab. He actually uses a teep. Like, I've never seen Stefan Struve throw a jab. Dude's like 7 feet tall. We'd all be like, bro, throw your jab, and it would never happen. So this guy offensively, I love everything about him offensively. It's just defensively, I'm very worried, because you don't want to eat those shots against Tafa. Now, anyone else loses to Jared Vanderaa, and I'm making a big deal out of it, but Tafa gets a pass. Reason being what I said earlier. This guy came into the UFC at 3-0. When you're only 3-0, you don't even get the chance to develop on your regional scene, and all your fights are in the big show. What do you expect to happen? You're going to have some ugly losses along the way. That's just the bottom line. Like, you can't just, you can't buy experience. You got to go in there and earn it, It's like, if someone takes, if someone comes to jiu-jitsu class with me, right? Like, and we're taking the advanced class, and I've been training for years, and this person, it's their first day. I can try to help them all all I want. I can teach him all my secret moves, all my tricks, everything, but I can't put in those rounds for them. I can't, put in the sweat equity for them. And Tafa had to learn under the magnifying glass. So big respect to him for that. This dude, Techera, I don't know why, man. I feel like he's either going to be a big time star because like 6'8", imagine if he gets a couple knockouts like Johnny Walker did when he first came into the UFC. Like this dude could be a star, or this dude could be a laughing stock and could potentially get face planted time after time after time. So yeah, this is a tough one for me to call, man. I kind of want to take Techera. I took Tafa on my show, but like I'm going back and forth, and like y'all sound confident on Tafa, but man, that Contender Series fight is the only thing that's like keeping me from taking Techera. Like you eat those same shots against Tafa, and it's like
it's lights out.
And it does remind me of Mark Hunt versus Stefan Struve, which Mark Hunt won via third round knockout. So I think that Tafa continues the tradition down under, gets one done for the legend Mark Hunt. And I'm going to say a left hook walk-off knockout.
Love it.
All right.
And gentlemen, I apologize, but it's getting close to my bedtime, so I got to get out of here. But
why don't you give your last two picks, Dan?
Yeah. I was about to. Drickus and Still. When you talk about rematches, especially with title fights, firstly, they rarely ever go the same. But the person that won the first time usually wins the second time. And I think that Drickus, his physicality is like just such a huge weapon, man, because like you see this guy, he'll like go face first into the mat on takedown attempts. It looks so ugly, but it's like violent and effective, despite how awkward it is. I just think he finds a way to win. So give me Drickus there. And then co-main event. So Tatiana Suarez versus an opponent with 50% takedown defense. The only thing though is the injuries. Where's she at physically speaking? Because injuries are a real damn thing. Like I know since Jimmy Crud's fighting on this card, y'all probably got the chance to see Jamal Hill versus Jimmy Crud, right? And like that was like an unbelievable performance. And then you see how Jamal looked against Yuri when he had 2 knee braces on. And I understand Yuri, a former world champion, Jimmy Crud, not even a top 15 guy. But I'm not talking about Yuri, and I'm not talking about Jimmy Crud. I'm talking about Jamal. Look at the form he was in the Jimmy Crud fight. Look how he looked 2 weeks ago against Yuri with 2 knee braces on. So why am I bringing that up? Because injuries are a real damn thing, guys. And if Tatiana, 2 fights in 6 years, doesn't look like the Tatiana we all know and love, Zhang Weili is the last person you want to be locked in there with for a title fight. But I hate to bring this up. I hate to be cheesy, but man, it seems like destiny. It seems like fate. It seems like this girl who's been wrestling since she was 3 years old, never lost a fight, never lost at anything, is destined to be champion for one night. And I think that one night is Saturday night, Sydney, Australia, UFC 312, and new Tatiana Suarez and still Drickus du Plessis. Thank you for having me, Mike. Nice to meet you, Tyler. Dravi, always a pleasure. The fans, thank y'all. And yeah, good luck with your bets this weekend.
Peace out, Dan.
Yes, sir. Evening. Peace out, y'all.
All right, there we go. So, all right, we're done with the heavyweight fight. I'm on an island, and I prefer it that way. You know what? Screw both of you guys. You guys.
Dude, I've been on an island most of the show, so join the club.
I like my
island. You can be on an island plus 500. It feels so good when you hit, but like you gotta hit it. Mike, it's at chalk this one, so it's a bit tricky,
It's a little tricky, but we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. Anyways, moving on, we got Weili Zhang versus Tatiana Suarez, the co-main event. Who started us off last time? I'm all thrown off now.
Beats me, dude.
Okay, I'll start us off then because I want to. Good fight. I'm really excited for it. Let me actually think it's time. There we go. So I always thought that I'd like Suarez here, and I probably would if the circumstances were different. But considering that she is coming off of injuries, considering the inactivity, which for me is the biggest problem, I don't like inactivity, especially to the extent that Suarez has faced it. And it's just like Weili's been over here fighting in 5-round fights, tough fights where, well, some of them were tough. The other ones, she just ran through people. But regardless, she's having these 5-round fights. She has the 25-minute experience. I think that she's the much, much better striker. I think she's got the power on the feet. If Suarez can't get the takedowns, I think she's in trouble. Suarez's cardio to me is another concern. I don't know if she can go 5 rounds. She's never done it before. She does slow down in the third. Wasn't super high in either of her performances, honestly, the Andrade or the Montana De La Rosa ones, the recent fights. Wasn't super high on those. The Andrade one was pretty good. Montana De La Rosa one to me wasn't that impressive at all. And like, I understand where people are coming from, right? Like, Suarez is probably the best wrestler that the women's strawweight division has ever seen. And Wei Li did get out grappled by Rose Namajunas in their rematch. 100% makes sense to me. But that was 3 years ago. And Wei Li's grappling has improved so much. You could tell that she's been in the training room specifically working on her grappling, and not just defensively, but offensively too. So she can come out there and she can out grapple people herself. She can get takedowns. Her ground and pound is disgusting. She hits very hard on top. She can threaten subs too. She's rounded out her game really well. She's with the Hickman brothers now over at Bang Tao. So for me, she's plus money, and that just doesn't make sense to me. I don't understand how you rationalize Wei Li, who's been active, who's defended the title over and over and over again, has improved fight to fight to fight to fight, is the much better striker, has the power upside, has the 25-minute experience. How is she the underdog? I get it. Suarez has the aura. She's 10-0, undefeated, really strong physical woman, really, really good wrestler, good submissions, but I just feel like Wei Li should win this, and I feel like she will win this. So I played her money line at plus 102. I put a unit on it, and I intend on adding if the line moves more. I also intend on getting in live because I expect Suarez to get takedowns early. So I think it's going to be a good live betting spot. And then I also have the fight goes to decision, reverse CLV to even on a total because I just suck with line movement. I got like plus 108, I think, on fight goes. I'm a little anxious about that one, to be honest. I do have a little bit of buyer's remorse because Suarez is really dangerous on the ground, and maybe she can lock something in. And if she gasses, Wei Li could probably finish her late. So I'm a little worried about that bet now, especially considering I could have gotten over 3.5 at a similar line. Probably shouldn't have rushed it, but it is what it is. Like, I'm going to leave it alone, let it rock. We'll see what happens. I think Wei Li defends. I won't feel too bad if Suarez wins because I do really like Suarez as a fighter, and I do normally root for her, but got money on Wei Li now, so I'll be rooting for Wei Li, who's also a really dope mixed martial artist. But how about you, Tyler?
Brother, preach it. Wei Li's getting this one done, dude. Like, Suarez is very, very good at wrestling, and that shows. Like, she's excellent. Wei Li's a very, very good fighter, just all around. And I think that she's going to get it done. Like, I can't believe she's an underdog. I do not get it. I would probably consider betting Wei Li at like minus 150, minus 175. She's just so good. And she's a physical specimen. She improves every single fight. Everybody's like, oh, she's 35, she's old. That's not how it works in women's MMA. It's different. For men, sure, we peak much earlier. Women, for whatever reason, can keep going and improving way later in their careers, especially if they're not out there having kids, because that obviously takes a toll on the body. But Wei Li ain't out there having kids. Girl's still improving. She's still getting better every single fight, and it's incredible. I think she gets this one done. I would love to see another American champion because realistically, we've technically got 3 right now, but John Jones is a paper champion. Bilal Muhammad doesn't really claim the United States, even though he is from Chicago. And Pena, we'll give her like 50%. She's from Spokane, Washington, but she calls herself the Venezuelan Vixen. So we need like a real American champion. Tatiana Suarez is an American fighter. I would love to see that. We need an American champion. We don't have like a really good one here. I don't think it's happening. I think Wei Li's going to beat the brakes off her. She's going to get taken down a couple of times for sure. Wei Li's too good. I think she hurts her. I think she finishes her probably 3rd round, maybe 4th. So we're taking Wei Li.
All right, Dravi, how about you?
Yeah, I'll echo a lot of what you said, Mike, on this one. I basically have almost the same breakdown. The only thing I'll add is I think that's the first time Suarez is going to fight someone that can match her on physicality. And also, I believe that that's the best striker she ever fought and the best fighter she ever fought in her entire career. And yeah, considering the layoff and everything, and then considering the fact that in the last two performances, she didn't look as good to me. Her wrestling didn't look as dominant. She was not getting takedowns easily. She was not getting top time easily. And I just think Welly's a different beast, man. And I think she can make her pay. If she fell takedowns, I think she can scrambles. And on the feet, I mean, she's the much better striker with big power and 5 rounds proven experience. I know Welly slowed down herself in 5 rounds fight sometimes, but she pushed through it. She been there, done that multiple times. Suarez is going to be the first time going into championship round if the fight extends. And I just trust Willie more at this price tag. So the champion at plus money with all the experience and all the known factor. I feel like betting Suarez when she was a big dog. I understand because there's a ton of upside. She could dominate the grappling, but seems like everybody's on her and making the line slip. Like I just don't agree with it. So yeah, I think Welly should be a slight favorite, not a big one at that. But yeah, it's going to be a good fight, though. I'm very excited for this one.
Hell yeah, there we go. 3 for 3 for the co-main, and we can move on to the main event. Dricus du Plessis versus Sean Strickland. Tyler, start us off. Do you think Sean gets a win, or is Dricus getting it done again?
I'm about to be back on an island. I think Strickland gets it done. I think he won the first one. I think that it's silly that those takedowns scored anything for Dricus because it's supposed to be a change of position if you don't do anything with it, and he didn't do anything with it. He had 6 takedowns and almost no control time. Strickland won that fight. I think he should have. I mean, it was close. Don't get me wrong, but the clearest rounds went to Strickland. That was 1 and 5. I think he's going to do much of the same, staph infection or not. I think he's going to put it on him, going dick to dick, like he says. I don't feel like actually it's probably just going to be a lot of jabs and teeps, but at the same time, those jabs and teeps were busting up du Plessis. People were like, "Oh, he doesn't have any power." Did you see Dricus's face? Like, dude got busted up, and if it wasn't for the cut, I feel like the optics still they end up going in favor of Strickland. So that yeah, if it wasn't for the cut, I get like, oh, but the cut did happen. Sure, but how often do we see Strickland cut like that? Rarely. It's not like he's not going out there. He's not like a Nate Diaz or like a Darren Elkins where he's just bleeding all over the place all the time. That's a rarity. He doesn't normally even get hit clean. So I'm taking Sean Strickland to finally bring the title back to America. Let's go. We're going Strickland, the real American champion.
Hold on, Tyler. You're not worried about Dricus' secret move?
Don't give 2 craps about. Let's hear about a secret move. What, like, going to be like Armin, where he pulls out right before the fight? That's a secret move. Not show up.
No, even better.
What's that? Headbutt
to the waist.
Oh, there you go. Yeah,
you got to be careful with that one, bro. No one expects it ever. Dravi, what do you think?
I remember when Andre Petrosky tried that, and it didn't go super well for him.
Oh, true. Well, Dricus is different, bro. Head's different.
Yeah,
the guy is definitely different because, you know, I've learned this a long time ago that you don't fade this guy, man, because I'm a big tape guy. I love to watch tapes, and if you look this guy's tapes, sometimes they look ugly and you just want to bet against him. But the reality is he's strong as fuck, and what he does is very effective. And he knows the game plan. I also think he's a very smart guy, to his credit, and I don't think that's something people talk about when they talk about du Plessis. He's a very intelligent fighter. A very good fight IQ. If you watch his interviews, he basically said that the plan for him against Sean and to beat Sean is to pressure him and not allow Sean to be the one pressuring, because that's Sean's game. He needs to be the one on the front foot. And in my breakdown in the first fight, where I backed du Plessis at plus 115, I said du Plessis is not going to be on the back foot. He's going to be pressuring. And du Plessis said something like he was pressuring 23 minutes of 25 or something like that in that fight. And that was the key to victory. And another thing is, like, you need to I've even saw a clip of Usman talking about it. You need to hit Strickland to the body and then go to the head to land clean on him and mix up with the kicks and everything. That's what du Plessis did. I mean, he mixed up the kicks pretty well. He went to the body and then he finds some shot on top. So to me, the way I look this fight is all the grappling upside on the side of DDP. He didn't get top control last time out, but he still was able to land takedown. So maybe this time around he can dominate on top one time. It's possible. If anyone win rounds based on grappling, that's going to be him. We know that for a fact. And then he's a stronger guy. He has more finishing upside. He hit harder. And he's the champ. He has that will to win. He has that dog in him. We know that he can go for 25 minutes and he can finish anybody on this planet. I don't care whoever it is. The guy has a 91% finish rate. And I know some guys cashed on Duplessis decision the first fight. It was 10-1. Now the market flipped all over. It's like 2-1 on a decision prop for Duplessis, who has only, I think, 2 decision wins in his entire career. So the market flipped on that fight for the under being super chalky to the over being chalky because it's a Strickland fight. I understand a little bit, but at the end of the day, the first fight was a war with a lot of opportunity to finish on both sides. And Strickland kind of know what he needs to do to win at the same time. He needs to bite down on the mouthpiece, and he needs to go for the kill. If he does that, Duplessis is very hittable. There's a chance that he hurt him or get a kill shot, but more often than not, I think Duplessis is going to be the one finishing him. I think this time around, I talk often about rematches go different. It's not always that the first guy is not going to win again, but sometimes he does it in a different fashion. And I think that's what's going to happen here. The market and people are low on Duplessis finishing this fight, especially by KO. I play KO. I give it out. I play KO 4-1 for Duplessis. A guy like him to have 25 minutes to kill another man on the feet, I'll take that any day of the week. Like, I don't think his scale should be that price. I don't think his decision price should be that low. I think the under should not be that price. Like, just based on the first fight and based on Duplessis history and the way he fights. So, yeah, man, I don't agree with the total here. The line, I'm not gonna play Duplessis minus 200 just because I play him plus 150 in the first fight. I thought he won that fight, even on rewatch, but it was close. Sean has his moment, and I think this time around Duplessis make a statement, finish him, and make it dominant.
Yeah. So for me, in theory, I fully agree with Tyler. I mean, I had money on Jenkins there. I thought Strickland won. And what's changed? Strickland fought Costa, did what Strickland does, and won a relatively boring decision.
Dude,
and
Tumi fight is canceled. Bro, I had his fucking knockout at 12-1. Fucking pissing me off.
Who pulled out?
I don't know, but John Anix announced that two-man barrel and Park fight is off. I had two-man barrel plus 230, and I had the KO at plus 12-1. That's really pissing me off. Bro.
And you were gonna probably hit both, in my opinion, but no one never know.
You can continue, bro. My bad. Just it got me.
Nah, that sucks. But yeah, back to what I was saying. In theory, Tyler's right. Strickland probably won that first one. I thought he did, even though I had money on Jenkins. Since then, nothing's really changed. Strickland fought Costa, did Strickland things and won. And Jenkins fought Izzy and did Jenkins things and won. He looked horrible, in my opinion. Izzy looked really good in that fight. Jenkins, Dan kind of spoke about it, was running headfirst into the ground. And still he pulled it off. Maybe part of that was because Izzy's starting to really, I don't think he's taking shots very well. He's not really reacting very well. So that's part of it. But I retired from fading Jenkins a long time ago. I just don't do it anymore because I've lost a lot of money doing it. The dude just gets it done. And there's not much else I can say. Like Dravi was mentioning it. When we tape this guy, you look at him and you're like, he's going to lose. He's going to lose against anybody competent. And like when he fought Tavares, I was on Tavares. I thought Tavares for sure got this. When he fought Darren Till, I was on Till. When he fought Brunson, I finally joined the Jenkins club. And then he almost gets finished himself by Brunson, then gets the finish. I don't know if I faded him with Whitaker or not. I might not have done anything there. And then I finally backed him against Strickland and then tried to fade him again with Izzy and learned my lesson again. So I'm not doing it again. Should this line be the way it is? I don't think so at all. It doesn't make sense. But I still threw Jenkins in a parlay with Gabriel Santos because I just feel like he's going to get it done. And also, logically speaking, at least, he does have more ways to win. I think he's the more athletic guy by a solid margin. I think he's the more powerful guy. He does have the grappling upside. I know he struggled to keep Strickland down. He didn't really do a ton with it. But just having that in the back pocket, for me, is a good thing. And it is a thing that will make me think like they have a good shot. Like, if it's a closer line, at least, I'd lean towards that. But anyways, he's got more ways to win, more athletic, hits harder, and he just gets it done. He just gets it done. I think it's going to take Khamzat Chimaev to beat Jenkins. That's when I'm going to start fading him again. But with Sean, I feel like Sean also just doesn't separate enough unless the guy is gassy. And Drickus seems gassy, but he does not slow down. So I think Drickus is going to win again. Whether it's a finish or a decision, I don't know. And I don't have a good read. That's why I just threw him in a 1 unit parlay and called it a day. I just think he gets it done. Does it make sense? No, but I think he does it anyway.
So I think a lot of people just don't give Strickland any credit because they don't like him. I'm not saying that's what you're doing. I feel like that's different. But when you look at Strickland's record, his last 2 losses are 2 split decisions that he should have won. He definitely won the Cannonier fight. That was absurd. And then I thought he won the Du Plessis fight. And then you also see like split decision to Paulo Costa. He beat the brakes off of Costa.
Yeah, that was BS.
It's ridiculous. So like I think even the judges are affected by this. Yes, he lost to Pereira. Okay. If Pereira connects on Du Plessis, he probably knocks him out too. It's just guy hits like a truck. Other than that, you got to go pretty far back. 2018, he got that spinning hook kick from Elizio Zaleski. Okay. Lost to Kamaru Usman at welterweight. Okay. And then he has a loss to Ponzinibbio in 2015, back before Ponzinibbio fell off. Strickland's really good. People just like they like to discredit him as like, he's not that good. He really shouldn't be in the title picture. And he's like a step down from all the other guys. I don't think that's the case. I think he's extremely talented. And I think his style is really hard to fight over 25 minutes. And I know that Du Plessis is going to want to come forward. I think he's going to really struggle to come forward on Strickland. Who has really been able to put Strickland on the back foot for most of the fight?
Nobody really.
Nobody. Not a single person.
Drickus
did.
Who did?
Du Plessis did.
Oh, he did not.
Oh yeah. What do you guys think of the staff? Because I hate staff doctors. I hate the whole social media. Oh my God, he has staff, but that looked like staff.
Dude, it don't look good. But at the same time, I don't know. Maybe not everybody's affected the same either. So who knows?
I never had it. I always thought it was similar to ringworm, which I did have, but apparently it's not the same thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, I heard it's horrible.
So are you in like you got like a 2-minute story that we can go through?
Go for it.
So my old MMA coach, one time, we were training at this gym that was it was a little dirty, it was a little gross, right? But we were training there, and one of our buddies went over to my coach's house after we like hadn't heard from him for a few days, and like he knocks on the door, he hears the TV on, and he sees him like laying on the couch, and he's like, okay, why is he not answering the door? So he just lets himself in. Dude is just on the couch, like. There's like pizza all over the place. He has no clue where he's at. Like he's completely incoherent and like whatever. So my buddy takes him to the hospital. Turns out he had a staph infection and he didn't get on antibiotics fast enough. And like, if he didn't get taken to the hospital, the dude was going to die. Like it just like, it's a pretty serious thing. So it can be bad, but I assume Strickland is on the antibiotics. What you hope, but at the same time, antibiotics will slow down your like performance. They'll hurt your cardio. They mess you up. So who knows?
Antibiotics mess with you, man. I learned that the hard way. Finally, recently I was sick and I took them in the morning without eating. Huge mistake.
I've never taken them.
That screwed me up.
I've never had staph and I've never taken an antibiotic, so I don't really.
Never taken an antibiotic for anything.
No, never. I've never had to. I have an insane immune system. Like I'm like never sick, like ever. And yeah, like MMA Clip says, you can get sepsis and it's like an infection in your blood. That's exactly right. So yeah, that's a real thing. And like that's like my coach like could have died from it. So like it's a real problem. So
Dad's saying it's the antibiotics that screws with you.
Yeah, the antibiotics screw with your cardio and stuff. But like so
I can tell you MMA Clips. He eats tuna and a shit ton of lentils.
I don't actually eat tuna. No, so now that I'm married, Kendra cooks for me. I have a much more balanced diet. But like, for a long time there.
God bless her then.
For a long time, it was rice and lentils pretty much all the time because it's dirt cheap. And it was literally like every day I would eat rice and lentils. So, but not anymore.
Good. Rice and lentils are good.
And it's so cheap. Like so cheap, dude. You can like get by on like less than $20 for a month of groceries. It's just rice and lentils. It's super cheap.
My favorite running joke back when we first started the panel was that every time you hit a parlay, I was a few bags of lentils and a few cans of tuna.
Yeah, that's exactly right, dude. And it's so funny because like back then, dude, we were balling on a budget back then, so I get that. So it was good though. It was good stuff. Where's my protein? Yeah. So that's the thing. I eat better, but for a while there, like so over the last like however many months from like after I stopped just eating rice and lentils, I've gained like 8 pounds and like of muscle. So that's like definitely I've got more protein in. So Clips, I appreciate you down there worried about my protein consumption, but I do probably not get enough protein still, but that's all right.
You should probably start getting some protein in.
I mean, I get some, but like I don't get like for as much as I exercise, I probably don't get enough because I do exercise like a lot and I do manual labor for a living. So, and no, I'm not vegan. It's just meat's expensive and I'm a cheap ass. So,
bro, you know what you got to do? You get a chest freezer.
Mm-hmm.
You buy a whole ass cow, get it butchered, and just toss it in there.
Dude. So actually now that I live at Kendra's place, we have a chest freezer down in her basement, and like there's a bunch of like wild game in there that I got from my friends. So like that's on the menu now. So it's all good. Tonight I'm probably just gonna eat some peanut butter sandwiches because like it's freaking late. So but yeah, that's all right. Good.
Speaking of late, we should probably get out of here. That's 13 fights, UFC 312. Dravi, did you want to say something? Looked like you might want to say something.
Yeah, it's your boy that pulled out because of weight issues.
Tumi?
Yeah. I don't know why exactly, but it said weight issues. Maybe it was not weight or because they don't have the same time zone there, right? I think it's probably they're gonna weigh in a couple hours. I think so, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like
probably struggle with the weight cut. He's a big dude, so
honestly, it's probably for the best. I think what was gonna happen was I was gonna bet on him and then he was gonna get submitted. So it's probably good for my bankroll at least. But I love watching him fight.
I guess we'll never know.
We'll never know now unless they rebook the fight. But if they rebook it, Dravi will never get that KO prop again. Plus 1,200.
That was a good line. That was
an insane line. I didn't even know. Like I didn't even look, and then by the time I looked, it was plus 400. I didn't even bother looking what it was before, and then maybe it was Dravi who told me or someone else, and I was like, "Damn, that's crazy."
Yeah, like I if I had seen that, I would have bet that, and I was picking against him. So,
but all right, that's UFC 312, guys. Thank you guys for sticking with us. Thank you to Tyler, as always, for being my co-host. Always a ton of fun breaking down fights and messing with Tyler a little bit. And then Dravi, thanks for coming on, brother. Always like breaking down fights with you. I'll pass around the mic. We'll talk about what we got going on this week, and then we'll get out of here. For me, I have my show on Tuesday. If for some reason you want to see me rant for another hour and a half about the same fights, go check it out. If not, you want some short form videos, I got that going on. I dropped all my shorts today. I do short breakdowns, 1 minute or less for every single fight on every single card. I checked today. I'm officially over 800 shorts. So nearing on to 1,000 soon. It's going to be 1,000 fights broken down in short format. Make sure you're checking that out. And yeah, that's all I got going on. Make sure you pull up to the free Discord link in the bio of all my videos. It's free. It's where my bets are, my breakdowns, my notes, and we talk a ton of fights there. There's 300 of us. We have channels for all the regional promotions. Make sure to check it out. And then, yeah, Tyler, tell people what you got going on.
Yeah, so you guys have heard enough breakdowns by this point in the week. I mean, it's like Thursday night. You've already listened to all your favorite people's breakdowns. Nobody's putting out new stuff. But something you still want to like listen to your MMA stuff, right? So over on my channel, 130 MMA, I do have a video that I put up, I think it was last week. It was about the best fighter from each of the 50 states here in the United States. If you're not from the United States, well, guess what?
Did you list 50 fighters?
Yeah. I literally went through and I talked about it too. I wasn't just like this guy.
You are the best, man.
I went through and I like, and like for each of the states. And I'd love to hear some little bit of discourse there. Maybe you agree, maybe you disagree. I'm thinking about doing one for all of the Canadian provinces. I think there's like 13 of them suckers. So it'll be a little shorter video, but I'm thinking about
who'd you pick for Minnesota? I just thought of a random state.
Bro, you're gonna have to watch the video. I can't spoil it.
I like it. All right.
But yeah, so go check that out. It's a good video. It's a fun video. It's still MMA related, and it's not just talking about a breakdown that you've already heard a million times.
Listen to MMA clips. There's never enough breakdowns.
Okay.
But Dravi, tell the people what you got going on.
Yeah, talking about not enough breakdown. If you want to go watch back my YouTube videos that I did with my boys on my YouTube, you can go check that out if you want to hear my takes again. But no, realistically, if you want to watch my breakdowns every week, it's Beat the Line broadcast on YouTube and Twitter. We go live every Wednesday, basically breaking down the fights with me, Key, and Peg. We have guests on also, so always a good time there. And if you want my bets, everything, you can hit me up on Twitter. My name is right there, Jubli_. I'm now posting my bets on Odd Shopper. So if you're not familiar with them, you want to know what it is, hit me up on Twitter. If you watch this video, if you like my bets, and if you want my bets, if you like my takes, I'll hit you up with a promo code for your first month on the platform. So you can hit me up on Twitter, and I explain everything to you on the platform, what it is and how it works. So thanks for having me on, guys. Always a pleasure. And yeah, lost 2 bets right away, live on this show, but still got 7 bets left up. And yeah, also a max bet for the next week card already locked up, and some decent live movement. Smash that line. So that's why you got to be in the Odd Shopper. And before I move this line, you can be in there with me, so we cash together with that CLV.
He said, "I'm moving them lines. Get in there."
Yeah, and real quick, I gotta say, Robbie's podcast is actually super awesome. Like him and his 2 other co-hosts are like, they're top tier and they kill it. So definitely go watch that.
I was gonna vouch as well. Key 3 for me is a day one. When I first started my channel, and I used to do a fantasy version, so I would break down each card just like I do now. But then I'd have another show where I did it for DraftKings, Prize Picks, Underdog Fantasy, and Key 3. He started in fantasy. That's like his strength, at least it was back in the day. Now I'm sure he's also really good at regular bets, but
yes,
dude is sharp when it comes to fantasy stuff. He is sharp. He was my first and only guest ever on that show, and dude's a man. And then Pegasus, I know from real life, it turns out, which is crazy. He was one of my friend's roommates back in college.
nice.
Also a great dude, sharp fella. So yeah, make sure you're checking out Beat the Line broadcast. Make sure you're checking out 138 MMA, and make sure you're subscribed, liked, and commenting all my stuff too at Couch Warrior Podcast. Thank you guys for tuning in. Good luck this weekend. We'll catch you guys next time.